Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream on a warm and beautiful what is today? A Wednesday, in which we begin starting next week. We will be streaming at 1:30 on the dot. And the reason for that is I'm covering at the local Muslim high school teaching Aqidah until that teacher returns. Okay? Till that teacher returns. And right away, and that teacher, you know all who know who it is, right? Who teaches Aqidah at the local Islamic school? The one and only Sheikh Murad Uthman, the Circassian Mamluk. But he's not Mamluk, he's Hur. Chapter number 5, section number 5 in Imam al-Nawawi's Taqrib. Kitab al-Taqrib wa-Taysir. Where are the Sahih hadith found, and what is the most Sahih of all hadiths? He says, أعلاها ما اتفق عليه البخاري ومسلم. The highest level of hadith by which the ulama say we do make jazm and qata'. We hold that for sure. This hadith is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Okay? We make jazm by that. Oh, this is wrinkled. I'm not wearing something wrinkled. It's a bit cold by that. You see, give me this black. Oh, no, I got this one. What are you wearing? What color is that? Gray? Yeah. Yeah, charcoal. Yemeni threads. Supplying these. You know, the air condition, in order for it to reach Omar, it's got to be on blast. No, you can turn it low. You good? Okay, good. So, متفق عليه البخاري ثم من فرد به البخاري. Then what Bukhari only narrates. ثم Muslim. Then what Muslim only narrates. ثم ما على شرطهما. Then what encompasses both of their conditions, because they each have conditions. ثم على شرط البخاري. Number 5, that hadith that is on the meets the criterion of Bukhari. ثم ما على شرط مسلم. That which is on the criterion of Imam Muslim. ثم صحيح عند غيرهما. And then after that, it's what other reputable ulama deemed to be sahih. Ibn Salah, who wrote the main book on hadith terminology that is mu'awwal upon, that is utilized, and he says that the days of rectifying and decreasing and making tasheeh and tad'if are over. He says there's no more for anybody to come and relook at a hadith. They've been looked at. Ibn Salah says that. Some commentators disagreed with him on that. And the middle ground for that is where they in generally agree, and only for some narrations the latter scholars may disagree. وإذا قالوا صحيح متفق عليه أو على صحته فمرادهم اتفاق الشيخين. The phrase متفق عليه, it has been agreed upon, is from the Shaykhain, means Bukhari Muslim, who is وإذا قالوا صحيح متفق عليه أو على صحته فمرادهم اتفاق الشيخين. Who are the shaykhain amongst the Sahaba? Abu Bakr and Umar. Who are the shaykhain in hadith? Of course, it's Bukhari and Muslim. وذكر الشيخ تقي الدين أن ما روياه أو أحدهما فهو مقطوع بصحته والعلم القطعي حاصل فيه. So Taqi ad-Din says what both of them narrate. You can actually have qata', absolute certainty that the Prophet uttered those words just as they wrote it down. وخالفه المحققون والأكثرون. However, many disagreed with that too. They said no. And they said, يفيد الظن ما لم يتواتر. They said, you're correct if it's mutawatir. But if it is ahad, meaning less than mutawatir, one or two chains there or transmitters, then, okay, it is يفيد الظن. It only gives us speculative knowledge, right? So we may have a type of certainty there, but I should say a type of confidence in it, but it does have some speculation because it is not mutawatir. And only the mutawatir in the world of transmitted knowledge, yufidul ilm, meaning it supplies you with absolute certainty. Right? The mutawatir transmission, meaning mutawatir, by the way, is not mustafid. Mustafid means something was not mutawatir, then became mutawatir. That to us does not establish a fact. So, for example, in the world today, it's mutawatir that the moon landing happened. It's really mustafid, not mutawatir. Because who actually saw it? A small group of people, right? I'm not here supporting each side, but it's a very interesting epistemological question. Who actually saw it, and is there even a possibility that that was a recording? And even what came on the monitors of the people at NASA was a recording. Yeah, it's possible. You can say it's 0.1%, but it is possible, right? Immediately then it's not going to be mutawatir, right? Because it's definitely not mutawatir that people that they were seen there. Even when they were there on the moon, let's say hypothetically they went on the moon, you're transmitting a feed, right? It's not a direct, you're transmitting a feed. Could that feed have been swapped out for a recording? Who knows, right? But I'm just saying, I'm just using that as a good example, as something of that's not mutawatir in the event, but became mutawatir and is treated as if it's a fact afterwards for many years, right? For many decades after that. So you see here that that's the meaning of mustafid. Let me give you another example. One of our friends goes and takes a picture in front of a Uzbek-looking mosque, sends us back the picture. Or let's say a desert. Let's put it this way. One of our friends sends us a picture of him standing with a whole bunch of sand around him and says, guys, I'm in Mauritania, right? I believe him, you believe him, but there's a lot of different deserts out there that all look the same, right? So we can't ever say that this is the picture supplies tawatur, right? Because immediately you're not going to judge it by his best friends. Omar sends us a picture from a desert and says, guys, I'm in Tarim. I believe him, you believe him, right? But let's go to the skeptic. The skeptic will say, it could be any desert. The stranger even. I don't know, Omar. Why would I believe him? He could be in Arizona. You could probably find a plot here of land that looks like a desert here in New Jersey. Right? I'm talking about a sandy desert like this, just a rocky desert. Just a beige ground. So the picture does not offer and supply certainty. We have to understand that. This subject matter is called the epistemology of transmission. And it was taught to me, and it's being done now by Sheikh Aidu, right? Remember him when he came?
Yeah.
I ended up taking lessons with him online. Yeah, Ibn Hajar's works on hadith. Right?
Nuzhat another?
Huh?
Nuzhat another?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually funny that you mentioned this because I actually witnessed this exact thing they were talking about like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When we went to the Turkish mosque, the Enid Center.
Mm-hmm.
So Samer, our brother from the community, he goes next to the mosque and he takes a picture or like a video. He's like, guys, I'm in Turkey, and he sends it to the guys. And they're like, yo, you went to Turkey and everything. And he comes back laughing, right? Because I'm with him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at this.
Yeah.
Because the idea of tawatur is like, it goes back to mushahada. That's like, it traces back to a witnessed event. But then a picture, that doesn't fall under that.
Let's take 9/11, for example. The big difference between the moon landing and 9/11 is that there were probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of direct eyewitnesses of the planes. Thousands of people probably witnessed the planes. Hundreds of thousands witnessed the smoke and witnessed the collapse. Remember, across the Hudson, all the people in Jersey saw it, right? So that's where we differentiate between the solitary narration that became fully accepted. And we have a lot of mustafid. Lots. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ is mustafid. Mustafid, again, means it didn't start as mutawatir transmission, but it became so. When a whole generation upholds those first three narrators in إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ hadith, verily actions are by intentions, that hadith, it's from three narrators, right? Then it goes out. But every one of each generation upholds those three, so we take it in our ummah that it's a fact, right? That hadith is a fact. So here we have the concept of where they say here, al-ahadu yufidu dhann. The ahad hadith is evidence for us in our religion, but we do not make jazm. Exactly, the Prophet said this. There could be a sliver of error. Okay, in there, a sliver. But it's not enough for us to reject it. It's enough for us to make evidence if the narrators are sound and trustworthy and deemed trustworthy by their peers at that time. So when it comes to fiqh and aqidah, this ahad has implications. When it comes to aqidah, we do not make takfir of the one who rejects an ahad hadith. Rather, we may make tabdi'ah, depending on which branch of aqidah it is in. For example, if it's a story that is not necessary to be believed in, that person, we may say, in this matter, he's erroneous. If it's something from the usul of aqidah, then we say, no, you are a mubtada' if you reject this hadith. But we would not say that he's a kafir. When it comes to fiqh, the Shafi'i and the Hanabila elevate the hadith irrespective of whether it is ahad or not. Mutawatir or ahad. And Bukhari follows this, and he has even chapters on the acceptability of ahad narrations. We have, though, in the Hanafi school and the Maliki school also accept the ahad hadith as evidence on a condition that it does not seemingly or apparently or actually contradict a stronger evidence, which would be, or provide an exception, the Quran, and for Malik, Amal Ahl Medina. Now let's take an example of that. Did not the Prophet ﷺ say, when Eid falls on a Friday, that you have the option to pray Jumu'ah or not? So the Ahnaf and the Malikiyah say no to this. The Ahnaf say no to this. They don't say that the hadith is false or we're not doing it. No. People should have a common sense to think, do you think that these scholars spent their whole life in serving the ummah? They're going to say, nah. The Prophet said so? Nah, let's just not do it. I don't want to do it. No, that's not the reason. They came with that ruling. It's like a silly imagination in the minds of some youth that, oh my gosh, the Hanafi school, the Maliki school, are going against the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Wow, they're really just bad people. They're terrible human beings, right? They're innovators and misguided, and that's why the Ottomans are this, that, and the other. No, what they found is they had other evidences that they deemed to be stronger. Therefore, they either said, A, this hadith is maybe mansukh. It's abrogated. Maybe that was the application in the beginning, and later on it was abrogated by this stronger evidence. Or they say, this is a narration for sure. However, we don't have enough information around it to make a ruling by it. And is that permitted to say? Well, Umar ibn Khattab himself said it. He said that he wished that the Prophet ﷺ had lived longer so that he could tell us more about the riba in bartering. So here are the, and these are the furu' of the religion. So if someone says, today I've completed for you religion, yes, the foundations and the fundamentals are completed, and the acts of worship and the Aqidah, the essentials are there. But there are furu' that are left for the fuqaha to answer. So here, Imam Malik, what is his ruling on that hadith? His ruling is, well, what did the tabi'een do? What did the sahaba do? What did the tabi'een do? They all prayed Jum'ah on Friday, when Eid was on Friday. Therefore, that hadith must be some exception which we're not aware of. Okay? You see that? They say that there must be some other exception. That's the third thing they'll say. So they say it's abrogated. They'll say that we don't have enough information to apply it. They say it must be an exception of some sort. Because clearly the Prophet ﷺ and all prophets have the highest level of fatana, intellect. Therefore, they're not going to contradict themselves. And the Prophet ﷺ's teaching is wahyun la yutla. It is wahy. It's just not recited in salah. That's the only difference. In of course, the Quran is the blessed word of Allah. There's that. But in terms of guidance, there's no difference. If a prophet comes to you and teaches you something, that is 100% guidance from God. Affirmed by the Quran and by our advancing student of knowledge. Every day he's advancing because he got off that stupid social media. Don't go back on, Omar, because you're advancing in ilm.
It's poison out there.
It's poison is waste of time. Okay. All right. Okay, here's the next point that he wants to make. من رأى في هذه الأزمان حديثا صحيح الإسناد في كتاب أو جزء لم ينص على صحته حافظ معتمد. قال الشيخ تقي الدين لا يحكم بصحته لضعف أهلية أهل هذه الأزمان، والأظهر عندي جوازه لمن تمكن وقويت معرفته والله أعلم. ومن أراد العمل بحديث من كتابه فطريقه أن يأخذ من نسخة معتمدة قابلها هو أو ثقة بأصول صحيحة، فإن قابلها بأصل معتمد محقق أجزأه والله أعلم. This next 6 point that Imam al-Nawawi makes here, okay, is that you cannot read a hadith, and he's talking about the people of his time. Ibn Salah said this before him. If you read a hadith, do not say it's sahih just because it says so in a book. Rather, make sure that someone of knowledge has ensured that this book is in fact a reliable transcription. Meaning, hey brothers, I found a sahih hadith here in XYZ book. Oh, it looks like it's got a hard cover. It's got some nice Arabic on it. Okay, brother, who is the publisher? Publishers make mistakes. Are all publishers the same? The narrators of our day today of religion are the book publishers, and today the website publishers. Who is the publisher of this website? Who is the publisher of this book? That's the question you have to ask. It was, I think, Ibn Salah who said you need multiple authentications. You need multiple. And it's different in Arabic. There's a difference of opinion upon whether that could mean 2 or 3. What's the minimum of jam'a in Arabic? There's a debate. Okay? There's a debate. What about Ibn Nawawi? Nawawi says 1 is enough. 1 is enough. One sound, knowledgeable person. Or it's well known that a copy, a certain publication, or a copy or that a scribe wrote is authenticated. Then you can say, yes, this is the hadith of the Prophet, and we act upon it. Right? Like if it's a dua or something. You ever heard this before, Omar? This book is... Okay. So Nawawi essentially took from Ibn Salah and he expanded. But if you put Ibn Salah, Nawawi, Alfiyat Siyuti, Alfiyat al-Iraqi, essentially the structure is the same, the content is the same, and it's just the length. Ibn Salah gives us the fundamentals. Nawawi expands a little bit. And then Alfiyat al-Iraqi is the poem of it and the commentary on it. And then you have Suyuti's commentary on this, right? Tadrib al-Rawi is a bigger expansion. So imagine like 3 lines versus a paragraph. Let's go to Suyuti's Tadrib al-Rawi, and that is more like 2 pages. He'll go into other things. And that's when you talk about Mustalah Hadith. You want to go even backwards, just like a very, very, very small amount written and missing a lot, not even mentioning a lot of this, is the Bayquniyah. The Bayquniyah, we wouldn't even say it's anything other than a list of terms. But this chapterization is where the ilm al-riwaya or the diraya, the mustalah would be, the mustalah is this ilm. The riwaya is the transmission, and then the diraya is the understanding. So this will be mustalah. That's where the mustalah is, the structure by Ibn Salah, and everyone took from that. Khattabi says, هو ما عرف مخرجه واشتهر رجاله وعليه مدار أكثر الحديث ويقبله أكثر العلماء ويستعمله عامة الفقهاء. And talking about the sound, the Hasan Hadith now. We open the next section. النوع الثاني هو الحسن. الحديث الحسن, that its origin is known. The men are known. And many ulama have accepted it. And many jurists of fiqh have ruled by it. So you may see, for example, that it's not in Bukhari and Muslim, but it has these conditions are met. It has these conditions and they're met. قال الشيخ هو قسمان أحدهما لا يخلو إسناده من مستور لم تتحقق أهليته وليس مغفلا كثير الخطأ ولا ظهر منه سبب مفسق ويكون متن الحديث معروفا برواية مثله أو نحوه من وجه آخر. He said it's two, هو قسمان. One part of it, لا يخلو إسناده من مستور لم تتحقق أهليته وليس someone, there is no one unknown in the chain, and there's no one that makes many mistakes or has any reason for us to reject his testimony. The matn of the hadith should be معروف برواية مثله أو نحوه من وجه آخر. It should not be a new piece of information. It should be a piece of some information, some knowledge that's found elsewhere. Okay. والثاني أن يكون راويه مشهورا بالصدق. The narrator should be known for trustfulness and truthfulness. صدق والأمانة. لم يبلغ درجة الصحيح لقصوره في الحفظ والإتقان. He has not reached the level of sahih. Okay, it doesn't reach the level of sahih in their memorization. So this is what's Hasan. So they're known. There's no blemishes in their narration, but they're not at the level of the sahih, the men of the sahih. And the sanad, the matn, the text does not give us something totally new. It's maybe adding, maybe different wording, but it's not something totally foreign. وهو مرتفع عن حال من يعد تفرد منكرا ثم حسن كالصحيح. Right? None of the narrators can be accused of anything, neither in their character as transmitters and witnesses, nor in their itqan, their competence in transmission. Wal Hasan. Now let's talk about, so that's the nature of the hadith. Let's talk about the Hasan as an evidence. As a piece of evidence, the Hasan is equivalent to the Sahih as a piece of evidence. والحسن كالصحيح في الاحتجاج به وإن كان دونه في القوة. Yes, it's less in its strength and airtightness, but it is equal as an evidence. وإن كان دونه في القوة ولهذا أدرجته طائفة في نوع الصحيح والله أعلم. And for this reason, many ulama just deemed the Hasan as just a sub-branch of the Sahih. Is that clear to everyone? Hey, let me know when our guest comes on. Okay. وقولهم حديث حسن الإسناد أو صحيح. قولهم حديث صحيح أو حسن لأنه قد يصح أو يحسن الإسناد دون المتن لشذوذ أو علة. Now, why is it that some may say it's hadith sahih or hasan? قد يصح أو يحسن الإسناد. Because the person telling you about it, he may deem it that it could be discussed whether or not it's at the level, the sanad is sahih or hasan. فإن اقتصر على ذلك حافظ معتمد فالظاهر صحة المتن وحسنه. صحة المتن وحسنه. وأما قول الترمذي وغيره حديث حسن صحيح فمعناه روي بإسنادين أحدهما يقتضي الصحة والآخر الحسن. As for Tirmidhi, when he says حسن صحيح, he means by that it's been narrated by two chains. One is Hasan and one is Sahih. وأما تقسيم البغوي أحاديث المصابيح إلى حسان وصحاح مريدا بالصحاح ما في الصحيحين والحسان ما في السنن فليس بصواب لأن في السنن الصحيح والحسن والضعيف والمنكر. So he says here, as for Baghawi, in his Misbah, Mishkat al-Masabih, when he says hadith that are Hasan and hadith that are Sahih, he does not mean by that the hadith of Bukhari and Muslim versus the hadith of the Sunan. Why? Because the Sunan, Sunan al-Tirmidhi, Sunan al-Nisa'i, Sunan Abi Dawud, Sunan Ibn Majah, there are other Sunan. Those books have in them all kinds of hadith, Sahih, Hasan, and Da'if. And Munkar, even. In Majah, they say that he has some 4 hadiths that no one's ever seen before, which Munkar, unknown where he got this. Or that someone in the chain, his narration is completely rejected. Okay. So let's stop here. نكتفي بهذا القدر. We're on page 30 and we need 2 minutes. So there's our man. We have a guest, a very physically fit guest, by the way, who's our trainer and our sheikh in physical fitness. All right, we got any questions before we take on Ahmad? The questions on this hadith? Let's take a question.
And then I'm just setting up for our guest.
What do we have here?
I mean, someone's asking about ArcView, not about hadith, but when is ArcView reopening?
ArcView? Very soon. When you go into ArcView, you're going to get 7 tracks there. You're going to see, you can sign up for 7 different tracks. Essentials are all my classes and a team of ulama that will teach you Aqidah from scratch. And one of the madhabs from scratch. And children and hifz, youth and hifz the Quran. Okay. Then there's Arabic taught by Mahdi Lak. Then there's Aqidah taught by Sheikh Murabit Benavides. You have to pass the prerequisites. Essentials offers the prerequisites. That's how I'm gung-ho, I want to study Hanafi fiqh. All right, you're going to take the prerequisites with essential. Once you're done, you cancel essential. You go to Hanafi fiqh. You can keep essentials if you want to take my tasawwuf classes. You understand? And then, same thing. Aqidah, you got to take the prerequisite. You don't have to take a prerequisite with us. You could have taken it elsewhere. So you apply to these other tracks. Arabic, of course, no application. Essentials, no application. But the other 5 tracks, there are applications. You got to apply. You got to make sure. All you got to do is just tell us you did the prerequisite or not. Maliki fiqh, at least Ibn Ashir or Akhdari, and at least something. So we have a clue that you know your fundamentals. And then you plug in. You plug in wherever the sheikh is. Whether you plug in today, whether you plug in tomorrow, whether you plug in next year, wherever the sheikh, he's your shepherd. The sheikh has been charged to take you up the mountain of knowledge in that field. And that's it. That's his job. That's his role. He's your shepherd. And that website will go up soon. We have a guest. Hey, Ahmed, do you have a light in front of you? Because your face is shadowed a little bit. Is there a lamp? You know what you put your phone... Ahmed, can you hear me? Ahmed. Yeah. Omar can't hear me. Ahmed, can you hear me? You can't hear me. He can't hear. Ahmed, your mic. Hello. Let me call him.
Our mic's on. It's going through the Zoom, so I think maybe his end, maybe.
Let me call him. Pick up the phone. Assalamu alaikum. You can hear me now because we're talking on the phone, but can you hear me from the mic?
No, I can't hear you from the mic.
Okay, so maybe that's on your side. Yeah, just play around with your the audio stuff. Okay, thanks.
Just give us a minute, guys. But our audio is going through for sure.
All right, what else we have? Our audio is going through. What other questions we have on this? Yeah, we hear him. Okay, Ahmed is here. Allahu Akbar. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my man? Oh, I was going to tell you, can you put a light somewhere up because your hat is causing a shadow on your wish?
I can do this.
There you go. Okay, even more athletic now. All right, talk to me, man. What's happening in Istanbul? You got behind you there, it looks like a collection of Turkish and Mauritanian stuff. Where'd you get that Mauritanian loh?
This is not from Mauritania, actually.
Mali?
Exactly. It is...
Where'd you get that? Can you show the audience that? Because they can't see look at that loh. It says what? What does it say? Where'd you get that?
So there was an exhibition here in Istanbul.
Yeah.
And donate their art, and all the money would go to Gaza.
Oh, okay. So somebody brought a loh, basically. That's how kids used to study. And they used to hang the loh on that little hook at the top or hold it like that while they're reciting, and they'd memorize Quran like that.
And so this is meant to go on your knee. So you
on your knee.
Yeah.
So every part of that has something amazing.
So you put it on your knee like this, and every day they write, and then they erase it for that day.
That is amazing stuff.
Yeah,
that is
beautiful
amazing stuff.
This is a Turkmenistani headdress. You know, like the one Habib wears?
Oh, you got that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very impressive.
A friend of mine just got married in Turkmenistan and brought me one.
And what is that? It's supposed to be sheep wool?
It smells like animal. It definitely smells like animal.
Yeah. All right, tell me, what is the latest in the world of fitness? Your latest discoveries on fitness habits? Because this episode today is about fitness of heart and body and soul. So what is your latest thing that you've been on these days for regular people to get physically in shape?
The thing that I've been doing lately is what I've stolen this from the internet, but what's called workout snacks.
Uh-huh.
I have a series of workouts that can take a minute or less. I do out throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has an excuse not to be able to do those things. And
4-minute workout.
No, a minute, even a minute.
What does it look like?
Like I'll give you one that you can find on the web. That's if you can do 2 minutes, I'd be impressed.
Okay, let's hear it.
Called Bring Sally Up, and it's just a YouTube. It's a video. It's called YouTube Bring Sally Up, or the challenge is called Bring Sally Up.
Bring Sally up.
Bring Sally Up.
What does that mean? Let's. He's pulling it up right now. Is that like Marine push-up? Let's hear it. I mean, a military push-up, a Navy SEAL push-up.
Well, I discovered it by following some jiu-jitsu folks, and I'll tell you, man, if you can get past a minute 30, I'd be impressed.
Oh, really? But can you give us a video of this, Omar? I want to see what is Bring Sally Up. It's not appropriate. Why?
Like some of the videos are not appropriate.
How is not appropriate?
Like women.
No, that's a dude doing a push-up without a shirt. Who cares?
No, there's a version where everyone's clothed and it's all men that's clothed.
Bring us one. Just bring us one. If someone has shahwa for guys without shirt, don't look. Okay. Wow, how can I tell these guys? Okay, Bring Sally Up. Okay, so far it looks like it's just a push-up. So far,
you just have to follow the rhythm.
Okay. We're getting it right now. Okay. 1 second. Uno segundo. All right.
So,
okay, a push-up. Tayyib, so far. He looks left. He looks right. He goes up again. He looks left. He stays left for a while. Okay. So they're looking, so they're basically staying down for about 10 seconds. 10 seconds?
You do a series of push-ups, and then at one point you have to stay down while maintaining tension. And then you go up.
It's a type of plank, right?
Yeah,
harder than a plank.
It's much harder. And basically, most people, when I make them do it the first time, they can do about a minute or less, and then they work their way up to a minute and 10 seconds, and very rarely can people do 3 minutes.
Okay, I think I can do that. One guy tapped out. I can do this. I can do this.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
Okay, tell us more. So everyone, you see that Bring Sally Up push-up challenge? Try that with your friends, see who wins. All right, what else you got for us?
Oh, it's interjecting things throughout the day as I'm working, you know.
Yeah.
And other thing that I've been doing quite a lot is lots of Zone 2 stuff. You would actually like rucking, where I just take a book bag and put like 40 pounds of stuff in it. And here in Istanbul, I'm lucky because I can just walk up to Büyükçamlıca Jami, and it's so you know I do lots of running, but intermixing. I do now weighted walks, basically. And what you find is that your heart rate is almost the same as a run with less impact. And so that's probably the 2 new things I'm doing.
So did you say an uphill walk?
Yeah, I mean, I take this. It's in my book bag.
Yeah.
Steal a couple of bags of rice and beans and cans of food.
Anything, a whole bunch of stuff. You put it on yourself.
If you're Egyptian, you must carry cans of food for it to work.
I agree with that.
And then I walk from here to Büyükçamlıca.
Oh, just walking with the book bag.
Walking, no running, just walking.
It doesn't even have to be uphill.
It doesn't have to be uphill. I like the uphills, but what I find is that you have to kind of secure your core and to keep your back straight. So you're working.
I love this.
Yeah, and you can do easily an hour and a half, and and you can get anyone to do it. I mean, whereas like if I tell someone you can do an hour, let's go do an hour and a half run, that's a non-starter. But if I tell people, hey, let's go walk up to Buyuk Chamlaja, anyone can do that. And
That is
then
awesome. That's
and
great.
so those are the two fitness things, new fitness things I'm doing, and then there's of course nutrition and sleep and all the other things.
How much walking do you? How much time or distance?
Because
way.
I live, we don't have any, there's no car. I'm about 20 to 30,000 steps a day, and that's not
Just
because
from life or from exercise too?
I'm been like, I would say 15,000 of those steps are just life. We all get 15,000 steps in, and then the other 15,000 steps are running.
Every day you run or walk?
Every day I run. Yeah, every day I run. And
Okay.
that's, I mean, that's also not, I mean, that's just a mental thing for me too. I need to run to clear my mind. Yeah.
10,000 steps, a 10,000 step walk. How many minutes is that?
A 10,000 step walk is about an hour and 15, 20 minutes, I guess.
An hour and 15, 20 minutes. So a run would be 40
Yeah.
minutes, 30 minutes.
Like that. But don't forget, it's like that's life here. I mean, you want to go to the supermarket.
Everything's walking.
Yeah, everything is 5,000 steps away. It's not, whereas in America, everything is a 15, 20-minute drive away.
Okay, Ahmed lives in Istanbul for your information. By the way, this is Sheikh Yasser Fahmy's brother. For many people who are asking if it's the same Fahmy, yes, it is the same Fahmy. This is Ahmad Fahmy, the older brother of Sheikh Yasser Fahmy.
Yeah, so technically he's my brother.
Yeah, technically he's your brother, not the other way around. And you're running an organization. Tell us about your org and tell us about the latest races that you're going to be conducting.
So the idea behind 114, it's ONE 14. This is the logo and the name.
114, pointing to the number of surahs in the Quran.
Exactly, and one for Allah. And the idea behind the logo is it's mountains, because that's where we run, or where we like to run in the Quran in green, which first came down in the mountain. And the idea was born, like what would, I got this idea because at one point I was really into doing Ironman triathlons, and it was like, what would an Islamic Ironman be? What would that look like if we were to create an Islamic Ironman? And the thing that stops most people from doing an Ironman is the fear of an open water swim, like going into a lake and swimming for 2.4 miles. And so I kept on thinking, like, what is powerful yet everyone doesn't want to do? What's the equivalent of a swim? And that's memorization of Quran for an adult. And I know that because that's how I felt about it. That's what you do when you go to Islamic school or Sunday school or after school if you're a Desi. It's not something you do when you're an adult. It's something that is just, there's so much negative self-talk around the idea of memorizing Quran as an adult, although all the Sahaba, for the most part, memorized Quran as an adult, not as a child.
That's true, and that's very true, yeah.
And so that's how the idea was born. Like, what would an Islamic Ironman look like? And I kept on thinking, and then I was like, no, the memorization of Quran coupled with running. And that resulted in the idea of conquer your nafs being the shahada of 114, because if you're going to memorize consistently and run consistently, you have to conquer all kinds of aspects of your nafs.
That's totally true. Very true. And by the way, physical fitness, we have to do it artificially. In the past, they were all just by default of where you lived or how you lived, or even living itself, you were physically fit. Very few people were not physically fit in the old days. I'll tell you who wasn't physically fit: the scribes and the scholars, probably in the cities. The scribes were known to be, A, they would go blind earlier than everyone else. B, they would get hunchbacks because of the way they sit and write. And the scribes would get gnarly fingers. So they probably artificially had to remedy those things. All of us today are artificially healthy. If you want to be healthy, you have to try to do something. The default of life doesn't make you healthy. Farmers, maybe. If there are farmers today, maybe. But definitely the farmers of the past were the most healthy.
100%.
Yeah.
The day doesn't just not make you healthy, it makes you sick. Right? Whether it's food or hooked onto screens or down all day. The standard is making you sick and not making you healthy.
That's a
And
great point. The default makes you sick and not
the
healthy. Yeah.
standard American diet, which is such an interesting acronym, like such a sad but ironic but perfectly true acronym,
Yeah.
applies to everything more than not just diet. It's, and so you have to really work hard to manufacture a situation where, you can be fit and eat healthy foods. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the struggle of our time is that although everything is so easy, everyone's so miserable.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, you have to fight a lot of different things just to reach a modicum of health and
Yeah.
a modicum of happiness. And unfortunately, the happiness part, there is a structural element to it, right? Hey, when you get a minute, could you put his screen on, his image? Yeah, when you get a minute, it doesn't be now. But there are structures in the world, and there are philosophies that have taken over that have rendered people to be not so happy. I mean, just the way that marriages are done or not done and have become difficult, and everyone's life by the time the person is 25, if they're competent and they're 22, 23, their life is so complicated, right? Like this one, I don't know where I'm going in the next 6 months because I have to match somewhere, right? So what are you going to do in the next 6 months? Then when you match, that window's closed. No one marries when you're in that level of busyness. So physically now is what we're talking about here. And physically, I think our phone addictions are pretty bad in keeping us awake at night. A lot of people can't fall asleep at night.
Yeah, and like I heard one psychologist or a psychiatrist, one of those two, say that 80% of depression, anxiety can be solved by a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when people compound day after day, night after night after night, for months on end, never getting a good night's sleep, what happens to such a person?
Well, I mean, it's if you think about it, what ends up happening, it's such an interesting question because not many people think about the long-term impact because we're so used to the short-term, like local quick fix. When you don't get sleep, when you don't wake up rested, and what is the definition of good sleep is you wake up rested. Like you wake
Mm-hmm.
up feel good, which
Yeah.
is nobody. Everyone's like, I wake up, I feel terrible, and so what do they immediately do? They drink something caffeinated, which
Yeah.
actually doesn't work right away, by the way. Like you actually shouldn't drink coffee right away. You should actually drink some water with maybe a bit of salt or something like that, and drink the caffeine half an hour later. But what the caffeine does is obviously just like anything else in life, you build a tolerance, and you build a tolerance, and you need more caffeine just to feel good, just to get this baseline of, like we said before, just to get this baseline of feeling, excuse my language, but like not like crap. Takes a lot of caffeine and maybe sugar and all these kinds of things. And that in and of itself, because you're drinking caffeine throughout the day, impacts the sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
then you drink caffeine, you're getting dehydrated, which impacts the more dehydrated you are, you will become foggy, mentally
Mm-hmm.
foggy.
Yep.
Then you drink more caffeine, which makes you more dehydrated, which
Yep.
impacts your sleep. Over a very long period of time, what ends up happening is people get sick.
Yeah.
Your body crashes and says, you know what, I'm going to rest. And your
Yeah.
immune system goes down. And look, I'm not a doctor, but I think this protruded period of not sleeping well does result in people getting anxious and then depressed
Yeah.
and
And when you compound it for the individual, but you also multiply it throughout the world.
yeah.
I wonder if the type of global anxiety that has now gripped a lot of cultures, if not the whole world, would change if the whole world went back and shut off all the lights at 9 p.m. and took out all the electricity at 9 p.m., right? Except hospitals.
I did a thing once. I did a race. I don't know if I ever told you about it, but it was in the Sahara Desert. And it's 9 days in the Sahara Desert. And you go to the Western Sahara, not the Egyptian side, the Moroccan side. And military vehicles take you really deep into the Sahara. There's no cell towers, there's no nothing. And it's so little, no light pollution that people would literally go and watch the moon rise. Like
Subhanallah.
that was the exciting thing, is to watch the moon rise, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And then there was nothing to do other than to sleep. Like there's nothing to do. There's no
yeah.
scroll. There's no cell towers. You know, the closest cell towers are hours away, and so
Wow.
you just go to sleep. And naturally, everyone would wake up before Fajr.
Subhanallah.
Well,
Subhanallah.
most people are Muslim. I mean, they're waking up for tahajjud. You know, naturally they enter this deep sleep.
Yeah.
Physically, we were running all day.
Mm-hmm.
We watch the moon rise. You go into the tent and you go to sleep, and you're sleeping on the floor. No creature comforts. No,
Yeah.
for bed. And man, people were so happy. And
Subhanallah.
I know people that were so happy that they pay tens of thousands of dollars to go back to this race every year just to feel.
Subhanallah. Just to get that. How long did you spend in that race?
It's all in with the acclimation period. It's about 9 days. It's like 2 days acclimation and 7 days the actual race, and then one day then you leave.
Oh, and if you don't sleep right, you can't exercise in the day either, right? You're just too tired to exercise in the day.
Well, I
Like
mean,
you don't have the energy.
whether you sleep or not, you're going to run because you have no choice. Like it's
Yeah.
and so what ends up happening is, like, even the people that have nerves who don't sleep the first night, the first stage is going to be like 50 kilometers, then 70 kilometers, and
Yeah.
100. You have no choice. But so what ends up happening is you're so exhausted that you enter this really deep sleep.
Yeah.
And I said this before, like Islam really makes sense in that context.
Mm-hmm.
Because you sleep early, you wake up before the sun rises,
Yep.
you sleep less than 8 hours, but the sleep is so deep that you just wake up naturally.
Let me ask you regarding that. People today, they don't sleep right. They can't exercise. I came upon a guy who said, you want to sleep early, it's going to cost you 1 day of misery, right?
Mm.
So you see, you can't begin the cycle by sleeping early. You have to begin the cycle by waking up early. That's how you guarantee the cycle. And so he said that wake up early, whatever caffeine you have to get through the day, but stop having caffeine at 5.
Yeah.
And
No.
then you will naturally crash by 9, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how you break the cycle.
100%. I would add to that, do something difficult throughout the day.
Yeah.
We're just way too, and I know I'm sounding some bootleg David Goggins, but like
Yeah.
too much sitting. It's just too much sitting, not enough physical activities, not enough walking. Um, so absolutely, like if you wake up, the key is not sleeping early, because most people can't sleep early right away. The key is waking up early, doing some physical activities so that when you get to 9, 10 p.m., 9 you start yawning, 10 you just want to sleep.
Yeah, you'll be knocked out. Let me ask you this: what do you think about someone who exercises at night? Does that keep you awake, or does that make you tired?
Look, I think everyone's different, just like night people versus morning people. But for me, if I exercise late at night, the adrenaline stays with me. And
Even a brisk walk with that book bag on?
no, walking is something I do most nights, and that's fine. I don't want where I'm like elevating my heart rate.
Yeah.
I think, especially like I don't know if you know this, but there's like this epidemic of insulin resistance. Like everyone's now like pre-diabetic. I don't know if you're following
Too much
this, but
sugar, you mean?
yeah, everyone's pre-diabetic now apparently.
Yeah.
And one thing, I used to monitor my blood glucose with a monitor. One thing that really helped me is a walk after every meal.
Mm.
So if I have a night meal, I'll go for a long walk.
Yeah.
That really helps me.
How many calories does that 10,000 step run or walk burn? So people know what they just burned off. A bag of chips, small bag of chips.
No, I mean, depending on how much that's the crazy thing. Not a lot.
It's not a lot. Yeah.
It's like a slice of pizza and a half. It's not a lot. Like what, and that's the thing. The relationship with food is such a complex one, because it's for a Muslim, it is our easiest source of dopamine.
Yep.
Is you know, and so like I had a somebody here in Istanbul asked me, hey, I hear you the local guy. Although I'm like I actually have a real job, but like he's like, can
Yeah.
you help? Like, hey, like what's your relationship with food? And he said, wow. He said, okay, you know, when I'm happy, I eat.
Mm-hmm.
When I have a fight with my wife, I eat. When we make
Oh my God.
my kids out, we eat. When I want to, you know, celebrate, we eat. Eid is about eating. He's like, basically, for every trigger, the solution is food. And so that, you know, the relationship with food is a really difficult one. You know, it's such a deep, especially for Muslims. Like we don't have the other sources of dopamine. Like it is one of our only halal sources of dopamine, and so it's a very like to me, I've developed a very strange relationship with food where I've kind of, you know, I try not to treat myself that often.
I think that people are be surprised how little food humans need.
100%.
And even people who are, they get low blood sugar and they get dizzy, usually they tell you that it's salvaged quickly. Like a very small nutritious snack does the trick. So humans actually don't need to eat every day, believe it or not. The fact of the matter is you actually don't need to eat every day, and your body will just start shredding that fat. It's not going to be by this walking that you're going to shred fat. You're not gonna, unless you quit your job and work out from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then again from 2 to 4 and then again at night, right? You're not gonna, unless you stop doing everything else. Exercising will not burn your fat, right? What's gonna burn fat? Stop eating, right? That's it.
And the thing is, and to stop eating, you have to think, why am I eating? It is, I think that the relationship with food and the nafs is so intertwined.
Yep.
And it's so easy to say, stop eating, but then the question is, why are you eating? Like why that you need this dopamine?
Yep.
And why is that your source of happiness? And it's a really complicated, and that's where the whole like conquer your nafs became the thing of 114, because your nafs wants you to be a loser. Like, and when people ask me like, what is a nafs? I translate the nafs as your inner loser, and it wants you to be, you know, in every regard. And that's why, like, just the two things of forcing yourself to consistently run and forcing yourself to consistently memorize, and becoming a person who has a regular relationship with the Quran means you have to conquer your nafs in other ways. Like, you cannot look at something and then memorize your wird, or, you know, you know, you can't. You have to actually be somebody, and this is what I've discovered. To be somebody who regularly memorizes, which does not come naturally to me. But I am not Sheikh Yasser, by the way. You know, someone who like naturally is memorizing Quran is a huge undertaking for me. And so, and it's like, it really is like, if you were to tell me, hey, would you prefer to run 50 miles right now or memorize 2 pages of Quran? I'd take 50 miles any day.
It's easier.
Oh, for me, it's much easier.
Yeah.
Like, for me to run 10 hours, 50 miles, or memorize 2 pages, it's easier to run the 10 hours. But like, to transform into what I've discovered is to transform into the person that memorizes regularly, you must transform many aspects of your life. Like mental clarity. You cannot wake up feeling like crap and then memorize.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot look at certain things and then memorize. You know, you cannot eat certain way and memorize. Like, to memorize and to retain is just such, it's like, you know, how can I describe it? You build a muscle, your bicep in the morning, and if you do at night, it goes away. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, the whole page goes away, just like a fleeting. And so
what is your method of memorizing?
The most important method I have is I have a teacher. That's like the most important thing. Like, I'll tell you my method.
Ajib. So you have a teacher out there in Turkey. He keeps you on point.
I have a teacher for everything. I have a teacher for. I'm a murid in every way. I have a murid for Quran, a murid for running, a murid for ultra running, for swimming, for fitness, and for, you know.
And how do you keep yourself disciplined as an adult who can walk away from your teacher at any time?
I pay the money. You know,
Oh shoot, that really changes things.
yeah, you pay the money. Like, you know, like right now, like if you tell me, you know, Ahmed, like we go back, train me,
Yeah.
okay? I say, of course, Sheikh Shadee, I'll train you, so it'll be my honor. Here's the plan. You go, I'm not gonna do it this week. But
What's
but
yeah.
if you're saying, Ahmed, I'm gonna pay you $1,000 a month,
Yep.
you're gonna do everything I say, you know?
100%. 100%.
And so I get that's one aspect. I pay them for their time, and I get, you know, I get teachers that I respect, and there's an element of fear. They're not all my, they're not, we're not boys. It's like I just read a book about this CEO that invited David Goggins to live with him for a month. And David Goggins would refuse to talk to him about life. He did not want to be boys. He wanted to maintain this heba between him and the guy. And same thing for tasawwuf, same thing for everything. So my first technique in memorization is to get a great uh, sheikh. And that's not to say that, of course, you have to pay your mashayikh. That hasha lillah. I mean, this is my Quran teacher. He's not my sheikh tariq or anything like that. And the next thing is we have a standard time that we meet, and I make sure it's a time of day when before my mind becomes filled with work. And so it's for me after my morning run and before my work starts and before I eat. So I don't eat before, because when I eat, I become lethargic. And then he has we have a half a page a day cadence where we memorize half a page. And then he maintains a spreadsheet of like what are we doing, what's the near memorization, what's the far.
Yep.
I don't want to think about any of that stuff. So he maintains that Google spreadsheet of what I need to review, and then the actual memorization technique is the standard, not the Mauritanian one, but the, you know, listen a lot to pre-marinate, and then uh, read the whole page with tajweed. He corrects all my I cannot memorize until I read it to him and he believes I'm reading it without hesitation. So when he senses hesitation in how I'm reading, he's like, I'm not ready to memorize. Only then, so there's the pre-marination of listening a lot, which I'll do in a run, for example. There's the reading to him to ensure that tajweed is correct, and then read it over and over until he feels like I'm not hesitating on how I'm reading. And then I read like he makes me study the architecture of the page.
Like the content.
The no, just how physically like the page looks. Like, is there a long area? He
I
wants
see.
me. What's the architect? And then for me to memorize, I need to understand what I'm reading because I'm old, right? And so
Yeah.
I need to understand what I'm reading, and then I'll repeat read the ayah 3 times depending on the length of the ayah. I'll repeat it to him 3 times. Oh, and by the way, I don't memorize by myself. He actually is there while I'm memorizing, or I won't do it. So I've carved out time, and I'm not memorizing separately and sending to him. I pay for him to be there while I memorize, because if I don't do it in that hour period, I'm not going to memorize throughout the day. My life will take over.
How many times do you go?
5 times a week.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What happens when one of your coaches puts a demand on you that you can't fulfill?
I'll tell them I can't do that, and then their response depends on them as a coach. And so some coaches will say, you know, I don't care what this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
My Quran teacher is so sweet disposition that he will say, okay, khalas, let's just push it back.
You have a Turkish Quran teacher or an Egyptian?
Syrian.
Syrian.
A beautiful, he has such a beautiful soul. But he will, I'll tell him, hey, my family, I have this commitment. He'll say, okay, today, khalas, let's just pull back. Other ones of my coaches, like my fitness coaches, don't care about that. And that's because of my own doing. Like I've picked him as a Quran teacher because that's the relationship. I am not in it, right? I'm not like I did if I told myself I'm gonna memorize the Quran in a year, I'd have a mean Egyptian Amu with a
Yeah.
Zabib. Like a super Zabiba, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but right now I'm just trying to have a consistent relationship with the Quran. My fitness coach doesn't care how I feel. Doesn't care what way I don't want to push. He pushes me. And so it's like a complicated answer to your question.
Today's interview is on fitness of body and soul. If you're on Instagram, you can't see except part of the screen. Hop over to our YouTube channel, Safina Sadi's YouTube channel, to see the full picture. And we're with Ahmad Fahmy, who's of 114, that runs races that involve hifd of Quran and a race. And the next one is in October 6th. I'll be participating in that in North Jersey. And it's going to be, I think that you do it online too, right?
We have 3 races coming up. One of them is in Maryland. One of them is global. Anyone can do it, like virtually. You download an app, and then the October one in New Jersey. So
all right, go to 114.com. That's ONE.
ONE, the number 14.ONE.
ONE, 14 digits, 14.ONE. Now let's get back to your mentorship and your coaching. If you have multiple coaches, tell us about your fitness coach. What does he do with you? What's the schedule like, etc.?
So I have one that just does strength. So I have one Turkish coach. He's amazing, amazing guy, and he focuses on strength and core and flexibility because I'm 45, and so as they say, like you're 30, you're 32, 33, and then you start to dip, right? And then you're gonna dip غصب عنك, as they say, right? So your dip is either going to be like this, or your dip is going to be a slow, gradual dip, and that's dip in strength, testosterone, all of those kinds of things. So what he's focused on with me is like maintaining muscle mass, building strength, my core, flexibility, all of those things, not getting injured. And so that's 3 times a week. And so that's full body 3 times a week. And so that's just that's just strength and conditioning and flexibility. I don't usually stretch. I'm very bad at stretching, but I'll stretch within those sessions. And then there is the running coach. And just like the Quran coach, they're keeping track of my mileage, making sure I don't run too much or too little. I don't do what's called garbage miles.
Which is what?
That's just when you can think of garbage miles like you go to the gym and you're just kind of like you're not really doing anything. You're just like, it's theater. You're giving the appearance of doing something. You can do the same thing with Quran. You can do the same thing with everything, the theater of it all. And he makes sure that every workout has a purpose, whether it's a hill type workout or a long run or short intervals.
So you meet your HIFs teacher 5 times a week, your fitness teacher 3 times a week. And do you have a food coach? Don't eat this, stop eating.
I used to, like, I've become really knowledgeable about that, so I don't really need that.
Okay. What do you think of the idea of somebody going really long periods of time without eating because that's what's easy for them?
I think the idea of intermittent fasting, and people go for 40 days. I think the body is an amazing thing. I just worry about the people who do like the 5-day, 10-day thing. Your body basically goes into ketosis and your metabolism slows down because basically it's trying to stay alive and burning fat for energy and all those kinds of things. And my concern with that is I think like there's a minimum effective dose. And I think every once in a while doing a 2-day fast is great. When you get into the 5-day, 10-day, 20-day, I'm not a big believer in that. And there's a
That's.
doc. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying at that point, your metabolism goes so low, so you're just evened out, and they're just sitting on a couch doing nothing anyway.
No,
They're
that's
not
what
going to use up fat.
the body's actually amazing. No, they are they're out and about and walking and talking and some even exercise. But the body truly is an amazing thing. You know, it will cope and it will adjust. But what happens is the bounce back period, you know, after like they start eating and all of a sudden your body's so becomes so accustomed to burning fat for energy. All of a sudden you're flooding it with calories. Even if you have a refeed period and all these things. You know, I have a sheikh here in Turkey that says anything good when taken to extreme it becomes bad. Whether it's running, fasting, water fasting,
Yeah.
and I believe in that. I believe that like once a month doing a 2 day water fast, yeah, that's fine because it's good in many levels, and it's great to fast from caffeine for given intervals, but like doing it for like long extended period of time, I don't believe in.
What do you believe is better, if throughout the day having just like 3 hours in which you eat, or having multiple snacks throughout the day?
I believe in the window.
Just like between 5 and 7 today, I'm going to have dinner, or 4 and 7, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what works for me personally because I I snack on healthy foods, and so I what that means is I can take in a lot of calories without noticing. You know, I can sit there and say, oh, I'm just gonna eat some almonds, and it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm gonna watch, you know, Sheikh Shadee on YouTube or whatever, and I'm just sitting there eating almonds, and then before I know, I've eaten 1,400 calories.
Wow.
And in my mind, I say, I'm just ate almonds. You know,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? Or cashews, and so for me, that feeding window stops all of that snacking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Because you're exactly. Yeah.
and so yeah, I like I can easily mindlessly snack and eat a lot of healthy snacks.
When I look at people's lives, everyone's good at something in life, right?
Yeah.
Some people are really good at taking care of their family. Some people are really good at making money and their job. Some people are, but most people are not good at weight and
Mm,
exercise. And when you look at it, you wake up in the morning, you have a to-do list. That's always the case for what you're good at. You have to
yeah.
have everyone. This today we got, all right, so and so's got a doctor's appointment, so and so's, and like moms, oftentimes they have exactly what their kids need. So and so, he doesn't have shoes. So and so doesn't have containers for his lunch. So and so doesn't have. I have to see who he's hanging out with because he's going out this weekend. Right, the mom's got the list. A dad may say, all right, this website's got to go up. This person's got to get. We got to talk to this person. He's not doing his job. This person needs to be paid. This vendor needs to be paid. But very few people ever wake up and say, all right, today I'm going to eat from this hour to this hour.
Mhm.
Today I'm actually not going to abstain from food from this hour to this hour. Like, because people don't do that. That's why there's a mass epidemic of out of fitness, because it's also nobody's of the habit to put a to-do list of when and what am I going to eat. Forget the what. There's too many different foods, but at least the when. Right? Like, eating is going to happen from this hour to this hour. Rather, because we don't have no system and no to-do list, you left it open-ended, right? And you're just eating,
And
grazing.
you know, it's the grazing is a problem, but also like, you know, the question of and this, you know, my wife figured out years ago. The source of like most problems in relationships is like, what are we having for dinner tonight? Right? And it's like, you know, we solved it a long time ago. We just have the same things. You know, Monday is salmon, you know,
Yeah.
salmon and rice, and Tuesday is X, and Wednesday, and we just rinse and repeat. And it's all meals that are healthy. So we've also taken out the what are we going to eat thing.
Yep. That debate. Yeah.
And that debate or that stress, because what happens is, especially now, whether it's in Turkey, US, or London, the ability to order is just so easy.
It's too easy. Yep.
It's like it's expensive. It's never highly very nutritious, and so even the system of like, okay, Monday is going to be uh, salmon and salad and whatever. And each member of the family cooks something. That's how our family is structured. It's not like my wife cooks every day for everyone. It's, usually the proteins like the is me or my son Yusuf. The salad is my daughter. Come to think of it, she's trained us all to cook except her.
You've been scammed.
Yeah, like and so just having that system of food and just removing, you heard the whole decision fatigue thing, as the day progresses, you're just too fatigued to make decisions. Like I'm sure you make 50 decisions a day as your job as a sheikh, and people, hey, sheikh, what should I do? Sheikh, what should I do? And at night, like, what should we have for dinner? You'd be like, whatever you want, just order whatever, and so systematizing all these things is really important.
I
I know.
remember. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please go.
I would say, just in line with what you said, I remember a guy said, why do people make bad trades? Like they buy a bad car, buy a bad product or something. And it oftentimes happened that you went in open-ended. And the experience became tiring. So you, in fact, made the purchase to end the experience, not because it's any good for you, right? And so if you go into a trade or a purchase, you have to go in knowing exactly what you don't want and what you do want, and at what point and how you walk away from the whole process. Now, if you don't have those, you make yourself open to a swindler or just a good salesman or a persistent salesman that is going to take you in circles, make you exhausted. Then you're going to make the purchase just to end it because you have no plan of when or how. Like, what words am I going to say to get out of this deal or to this sale? You have no plan. Sounds like the same thing when people are eating. They made no plan for eating. Hence, it's left at the end of the day. And hence, the easiest thing is, well, let's just give up on this. Everyone take the app and pick what you want. And all of a sudden, you spent $70 and everyone just ate a bunch of fat.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly. And like we calculated yesterday, like there's a meal that we make, which is basically an entire filet mignon, right? And like these like really delicious roasted potatoes and salad, and it was like a delicious meal. And we calculated that meal of filet, potatoes, and this like really crazy salad is cheaper than everyone getting cheeseburgers, like ordering cheeseburgers.
SubhanAllah, that's amazing.
It's and so because look, I know I'm gonna lose you soon. So before I lose you, what race are you gonna do in October? Is it Yasin in the 10K or El Kef in the 21K?
21K is how many miles? And can I walk any of it?
You can walk all of it, or you can run. But you're Sheikh Shadee, that you can't walk.
Firstly, I need new running shoes. That's the first thing. I can't show up with the running shoes that I have.
I
That's the
will
first thing I need.
I will get you. Do you have you have a normal arch or do you have flat feet?
No, I have a normal arch.
Normal arch. I will pick your shoes. I will send you shoes.
Please do.
I will take on the shoes.
Bring me any pair of shoes you bring. I'm gonna accept it. Size 8.5 in the size of Nike. Anything that you bring me, I'll wear it. And I'm gonna meet you in Jersey. You're gonna be there, right?
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send you the shoes like this week so that you start trading.
Good.
Now the question,
yeah, go ahead.
Too.
I'll do the 9 miles.
No, it's well the levels are it's in Mulkan 3 miles. That's the kingdom. And then there is 6 miles and Yasin, the heart. That's called the heart. There's 13 miles in the Kaf.
I'll do 13 miles. Yeah.
26 miles in Al-Araf. And then there's 50 miles in the Baqarah. That's one's called the cow.
I do have a wedding that day.
Okay.
As long I will run the whole day until the day that the moment that I have to go change somewhere, shower somewhere. I'll go to ICPC. Do they have a shower for people who do i'tikaf?
Yes, of course.
I'm committed to this thing. I'm going to shower there, put my wedding clothes on, and go to the wedding.
The 13 miles in the Kaf?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be your sheikh.
I'm fine with this. Yeah.
You the training plan that combines some walking and running for the 13 miles.
I'm committed to this. My problem is I love the treadmill, and it's the only time I allow myself to have a little treat to watch TV.
Yeah, treadmill's no problem. I just ran the treadmill right now.
Okay, good.
On the treadmill, I will, but I'll tell you, if Sheikh Qatanani beats you, that's going to be bad.
Oh, that's going to be a problem. Now, what is the schedule? Saturday is the tasmiyah.
Saturday is tasmiyah,
Sunday's the run.
Sunday is the run. And then the score. So the way it works is that there's a tasmiyah score and a run score, and it gets combined into a 114 score. So what ends up happening every year is that the better huffaz win. So you have these like elite athletes that come and run crazy times.
Yeah.
You have a normal civilian that runs okay, but their hifz is perfect. They always win. There's a
Yeah, they
ranking.
always win.
There's a ranking at the end.
Yep.
What's emerging now is this group of people that are learning about 114 from around the world, like North Africa and Algeria, that are like elite level runners, but also hafal. We're now being exposed to some, like there's a guy right now, he's North African, he's running across Indonesia, all of it.
What?
Yeah, he's running across all of Indonesia.
Wow.
And he's like an amazing Hafid as well. And so, but but right now what's happening with in New Jersey and Maryland is that the better Huffaz are winning.
Well, that makes sense because, I mean, if everyone finishes the race, you get the same amount of points or.
Well, no,
or
no.
what?
I mean, let's say, so what happens is, let's say you and I are going to do the half marathon together.
Yeah.
And in 2 hours, I do it in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So now I'm half an hour faster than you.
So
But
you get more points. Yeah.
more points. But let's say your hifz of Surah Al-Kahf is perfect, and mine is I've only memorized half, for example.
Then
You'll
you're
win.
going to, yeah,
So-
knock off.
Yeah, and so what we try to do is create a system that makes the weight of the Quran the same as the running.
Yeah.
And so what we want ideally is that people improve both, get faster, less mistakes and faster in the run.
It's hard to measure because there are no mistakes in running. There's mistakes in hifz.
But you run faster.
Speed versus accuracy. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, go ahead.
I want to go back to the eating part because a lot of families do get in a role that there are 5, 6, 7 go-to foods that they will cook and eat.
Yeah.
And that's actually very good for the body, the predictability. However, there is one problem with that. If there is a nutrient missing from your 5, 6 meals, and hence you have to include some superfoods. We're not nutritionists. We don't know what's missing. So there are superfoods that contain all the nutrients. You got to stick some of those in your meals to make sure you don't have an imbalance in any single nutrient.
100%. Like one thing this is gonna sound like the liver king, but I eat liver once a week.
Okay.
Because and I'm very lucky that there's a place down the street from my house in Istanbul that makes amazing liver. I don't like liver, by the way, at all. But they make a liver is called like nature's multivitamin. It has so many amazing, so many amazing vitamins and minerals in liver. And so, absolutely, like you need to know, you need to know what's missing from your diet. And I like to try to get all of that from whole foods. Like again, very lucky you're in Istanbul for lunch. There's a place that sells like the main fish that's sold in our area is called hamsi, which is basically sardines, and you eat the whole fish, the fish whole. It's delicious. That gives you all the omega 3 fatty acids and all of that kind of stuff. Plus, you're eating the bones. You're eating the collagen and so. But for those who can get those naturally, there's also a bunch of vitamins and stuff I take to. But my preference is to get it through Whole Foods.
I'm sure everybody can go get the list of superfoods from online, but you listed so far liver and sardines. What are some other whole superfoods that people could just throw into their diet to ensure that they're covering up?
I'm going to say what I do, but I'm really not obviously nutritionist. But what I do is, again, it sounds so cliche, but I just have a routine. On the way to the gym, I'll make a smoothie. And in the smoothie, it has frozen berries, which are just I get them from the supermarket. I use I put in spirulina and moringa powder,
Hmm.
and creatine, and uh, and then in that
Wait,
in
what
that
powder did you say? Sorry.
creatine,
Creatine. Okay.
and I have a local juice maker make me a large juice of lemon and just lemon and ginger. So just like a lot of ginger and a lot of lemon, and I'll drink that. I'll drink that on my way to the gym. And then the other things I have is I try to have a lot of leafy vegetables. I actually like salad, so that's not a problem. But I'll have generally a cabbage salad with some spinach and that kind of thing, and inside of it apple cider vinegar and uh, so yeah, that's pretty much. I try to have protein maximum once a day, like actual meat once a day. I think we eat too much meat. And then
Hmm.
the thing about eating meat is that I just I feel lethargic after it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's you know pretty much it. And
Mm.
again, I am not a highly disciplined person, so I have to put these systems out.
Yeah.
I just want to sit down, eat crap, and watch YouTube videos. Like
Yeah.
that's my day. Um, but what happens when you eat healthy consistently, you feel very good.
Hmm.
And then when you eat like a double cheeseburger, and I'll have it. My son eats this, like he's disgusting. Like he's like sometimes he's like, "Well, we want to eat a double cheeseburger." I love double cheeseburgers, and I'll actually, oh, yeah, I'll eat it with him, and then I'll just feel terrible afterwards.
Yeah.
So
And the kids these days, they really just want to eat sauce, and the food is an excuse. If you notice how much sauce, I don't know how it is in Turkey, but kids here, it's just so much sauce on the burgers and stuff, and the food is just an excuse to have it, right?
it's, I, 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 when I go to the gym in the US, I was like looking at these young kids. They must be 13, 14 in the gym, drinking these like massive energy drinks, right?
Hmm.
And so I looked up one of them. It's like 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine and
Oh my God, that's
and
crazy.
they're just like downing it, these like
Yeah.
little tiny people downing, and yeah, I don't know what we're
Okay.
doing.
Here's a fair question for you, and I want to take Bilal of Timbuktu's question. Timbuktu. I go to my house. I'm going to take some ground meat, put some olive oil in the pan, ground the meat, put some cheese on it, put some bread next to it. Tell me, how is that any different? Why does that feel so much better than a cheeseburger? Like what is going on in the restaurant that makes the cheeseburger feel so much more miserable to eat than I go to my own house? Is
Yeah,
it the
yeah.
oil? What is it exactly? The grease?
The by the way, I love making like I am a burger expert, right?
Hmm.
Like our house is like the culinary standards in our house is very high in terms of like what gets cooked, and you're absolutely right. Like you can make an amazing smash burger in your house and you don't feel like a truck ran over you. And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's the oil that they use, the amount of salt that they use, the amount of butter that they put on the bread before they put on and then beyond that, just a general low quality of ingredients. Like you're
Hmm.
not going to go to the supermarket and say, what is the crappiest cut of meat I can get and feed my family? Like, I
Yeah.
need the
Yeah.
margins are not quite there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like people think like that in the board of like McDonald's is a publicly traded company, which means that they by definition have to lower their, increase their margins, lower their costs and charge more.
Hmm.
And so you're not gonna go to ShopRite, I don't know which one you go to and say, you know, I need to save 25% on
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
so I think just by virtue of the fact that you're using meat that's not garbage,
Yeah.
bread that's not like that won't survive a nuclear, bread and Holocaust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fact that just the bread that you're going to use rots. Just I think by virtue of all those facts alone, uh, it's going to be healthier. Whereas, like for example, the burger I make myself, Like I make myself a burger once a week because I love burgers. Like I'll get very high quality, low fat meat. I'll smash it with onions and Worcestershire sauce. I'll skip the cheese. And the burger sauce is like yogurt, ketchup. Like I'll switch out the mayo for yogurt and
Mm,
ketchup, and I'll make a burger sauce that tastes, of course, not as good, but very good. And you combine the whole thing, it's amazing. And then an hour later, I don't feel like
exactly. You feel normal, like you ate a regular meal. I'm wondering, why is it that at the restaurant it feels miserable and here it feels great,
I
like a
really
normal
think
meal?
we're not eating food in restaurants in the US. We're eating something that was concocted in a boardroom. And it's to drive the cost. It's like my European colleagues always say, like when I go to America, it's twice the size, half the quality.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
how it
and
is. Yeah.
twice the size, half the quality. Even the homes, twice the size, half the quality of what they are in Europe. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's like, if you go to an expensive restaurant in New York City, you don't walk out an hour later and feel terrible because
Mm-hmm.
they're using all the ingredients. And I think what we feed, when you just order a pizza from Papa John's versus making it at home, like you don't know what that cheese is, and
Who knows, man?
no,
That was nasty stuff.
who knows? Like what? It tastes amazing. It's full of MSG. Like don't get me wrong, it tastes great, and but yeah, it's not food. It's something else. It's like
No, I know. I noticed that even the bread, this can't be normal. There's no way that they're making a profit at the costs, right? There's no way if this is normal bread and cheese.
it's not. It's not normal. It's not ice cream.
Yeah.
It's not actually ice cream. Like when you get that delicious thing that my kids love for 99 cents,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's something else. It's some mutant thing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not X-Men by now.
If you're on Instagram, hop over and check out ONE 14 digits. So the written ONE 14.1 to see about
No.
these races, to see about this initiative, to get everyone healthy. And Safina Sadi's all behind this. I'm one of them. And now I want to shift to another problem that happens to a lot of East Coasterners.
Okay.
Summertime, springtime, we are sizzling. We're fit. We're conscious of this. Something happens at the winter.
Yeah, yeah.
You just want to hibernate. I don't want to move.
Yeah.
Don't call me. Don't text me. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to eat and be warm. And I do not want to move. This year, we're solving this problem.
Yeah.
This year, this problem is going to be slaughtered. But give us tips how to solve this problem.
Yeah, I go through the same thing. I always like say that I think it's because I'm Egyptian and we're solar
Mm-hmm.
powered.
Yep.
Like something
Mm-hmm.
happens in where I myself don't want to work out and I
Yep.
work out. I solve these things through, and I think this is the missing component when we talked about, sohbah. I have friends, like I have a weekly meetup here in Turkey where we memorize together on Sunday and we run together. I have friends that I work out with, friends I run with. I think this notion of doing things alone, and Imam Sami Zaharna actually had like we were talking about this recently, that there's this notion of like this Goggins-esque type thing where we need to like go out alone, run every day, kill your inner whatever and all this kind of stuff. I don't think that's our tradition. I think our tradition is one of doing things together and strengthening and building community and not being alone. We're exactly the opposite. Like if anyone that was going to be alone and succeed would have been Sayyidina Muhammad. And so in the winter months is where I really lean on my friends,
Sohbah.
my sohbah, the sohbah and my coaches, and they're the ones who kind of uh, don't let me.
Mm-hmm.
I always degrade a little bit. Like this is like the healthiest I'll be in the year, like August into September, and then I'll do my final races, whatever they are, and then I kind of take my foot off the pedal. The
Mm-hmm.
thing that they do is they'll take their foot completely off the pedal. Like I might remove 5%, people will just take their foot off and then just eat, get out of shape, their back will start hurting. And there's a reason people's backs start hurting in November, December, January.
Is that because their stomach is heavier now?
And they're not doing anything. They're they're literally sitting down. They're sitting down, like doing anything. Whereas in the summer months, you're just more active. You're moving around.
Yeah.
So what happens when you sit down all day is your hip flexors. We're not meant to sit down all day. We're meant to walk all day, and so your hip flexors they tighten and they tighten, and your body. Inside of your body, you're surrounded by the thing that keeps us from falling apart is this thing called fascia. It's like this bag that surrounds our muscles and our organs and things like that, and it tightens up. And sometimes you see people actually like it's so tight, the body's almost like the fascia is shrinking. Yep. But when you're walking here and you're keeping it all loose, and so imagine you're just sitting down, you're eating, your body's getting bigger, you're gaining weight, and then so it's very easy to hurt your back, your lower back, all these things. So my solution was Suhba. And I also like we created a race in that's right after Ramadan, just so that we don't like you keep your like let's say you do the inshallah you'll do the half marathon in September. But if I tell you, Sheikh Shadee, immediately register for the marathon that's gonna be post Ramadan, what you'll find is can we do it? I'm like, no, you have to do it in post Ramadan. There's that next thing that keeps me motivated. Suhba, I always have and so Ramadan for me is also the most fit time of the year. So like I try not to. If I'm really physically fit in Ramadan, I'm mentally at my best in Ramadan.
Yeah. Three things I want to ask you. Well, the hip flexors, I remember I had this problem and I didn't know what it was, but it was solved by a certain exercise, a stretch, that if you do it once a day, you'll never have this problem again. You lay on your back, you pull your knee up to yourself, and then you turn your knee. So almost right knee to left shoulder on your back. You pull it, and you keep pulling it, and you'll feel all that side stretching out, and you will have no more of it, no more of those back pains. That's number one. Number two, is the fascia, is that a scientifically discovered thing, or is that a theory?
No, it's ask ChatGPT. It's
Omar, can you look it up?
It's the fascia is actually amazing. It's something we don't think about. We think about muscles and tendons and things like that. We don't think about the bag. Like, when you get meat and you just peel this thing off of the meat that you cannot eat, that's the fascia.
Or like an egg.
Yeah,
a hard-boiled egg.
The thing that's keeping everything together in our bodies is like the thing that keeps everything from falling out is the fascia. And so,
and in the winter, maybe that tightens. Maybe warm air, like hot drinks, would open it up.
One thing I recommend, Sheikh Shadee, is also a sauna. I don't know if sauna.
Sauna. You're the second person who told me to get a sauna in my basement.
Get a sauna. Get a cheap infrared one. And there's ones that, like, there's a company in America that if you get the ones that are chipped, like not perfect, they're like half off. And infrared sauna, my brother has one. They're amazing. Here in Turkey, you just walk down the street and go to the hammam, and the sauna's there. So it's easy to go to the sauna 3-4 times a week here. It's very cheap.
Yeah. Do you in Turkey? You're pretty low in comparison to Jersey. You're south of Jersey, the East Coast, or are you even? Okay, so. A lot of people get really down in the winter. They get what is it called? Seasonal associated depression or whatever. SAD, it's called. It's literally called SAD. Seasonal associated depression or whatever. But it's literally called SAD. Did you ever try the lamp? Because
No.
a lot of people swear by the lamp. There's a lamp that cures you. You just sit in front of it for 25 minutes a day or something like that. Have you ever tried that?
No. No, because I run even in the winter. And so, I'm even if it's cold, I'm out in the sun. And you get that effect even if it's cloudy, it's and
Yeah.
so as long as I'm running, even if it's really cold, I don't experience that.
Mm.
It's stay inside. And I think, like the Bedouins in Morocco say the homes are the graves of the living.
Yeah.
And I if I stay home in the winter months for long periods of times, I actually get down, and
Subhanallah.
so for me, just by virtue of leaving the house
Yeah.
and going for a run, and even running in the cold in New Jersey, it only is terrible for the first 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
you need to have a face mask because the cold air is going to kill you.
you don't actually even need like,
Hmm.
have you ever looked into Wim Hof?
Yeah, the breathing expert. Is he one of your coaches?
No, no, no. I
Wim
just
Hof is amazing, actually. This guy's done feats just by the way he maneuvers the oxygen in his body. I
exactly.
haven't done any more than with him than the 15-minute exercise that he has.
I
Yeah.
just, I
Yeah.
read his book and the course, and I actually wanted to talk to you about it maybe offline one day around what is in our tradition around dhikr. Like we must have access to all of these things in our tradition that Wim Hof, you know, how he manipulates his breath. Because I've read about people, who've went, Muslims who've went to mountains in the ice cold and like, sweat was coming off their body. Like I believe we have in our tradition all of these things at Wim Hof. But what I was going to say is that even in the winter, if you manipulate your breath and do certain things and don't allow yourself to, you
Yeah.
can actually go for a run and without even needing a face mask.
Okay. So, with the Wim Hof method, one thing I do know for sure is that one of the reasons people feel tired in the day is because they don't breathe well at night.
Yeah.
If you don't breathe well at night, there's usually one or two reasons. Well, it's either the air is not circulating or your nose, your septum is deviated or something.
I mean, breath is such a fascinating subject. If you just read about the fact that most of us do not, um, everyone's shallow breathing all day. Like people are not breathing, they're not using the majority of the lung capacity.
Yeah.
And even in running, like breathing and running is so important. Like because you burn fat on the exhalation and so if you manipulate your breathing when you're running, you can lower your heart rate and go longer.
Mm-hmm.
It's
If you
amazing.
breathe right.
If you breathe right, most people when they start running, they just instinctually before they even need, they go,
Mm-hmm.
you need to do that. And so, breathing from your nose, diaphragmatic breathing, um, it really does go a
Can
long way.
can you tell us, summarize for us what Wim Hof's theory is?
Oh, it's such a it's a big theory, and well, what I can summarize is a technique,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But basically, okay, let me try to summarize his actual theory and answer your original question. He believes through manipulation of breath, you can control what most people believe is uncontrollable. So, for example, he had himself in a controlled environment. He was injected with uh, it was a poison of some sort, and this poison, if you give it to a normal person, they go into anaphylactic shock, and the body will start basically going like you lose control because you don't control that aspect of your autonomic nervous system. And so poison goes in, your body just, has a reaction that you cannot control. So his theory was through breath, he can control that reaction. He can basically
Mm.
tell you, hey, relax, buddy, it's okay. Don't.
Subhanallah.
And so he did. And so through controlling his breath, he basically signaled to his body, his parasympathetic nervous system, everything is fine. And that's how he's able to run a marathon in Everest because the body wants to go into shock and he's saying, hey, everything's okay through breath work. Don't go into shock. Don't, no need to go to hypothermia. Just relax.
Mm-hmm.
And so then people thought, okay, he must be a unicorn. Then he taught people how to do this thing.
Yeah.
He brought a bunch of people to Kilimanjaro wearing basically boxers, and then he had a bunch of people injected. So through the manipulation of breath, you can tell your body, hey, it's going to be okay. You know, that's the theory of the Wim Hof method.
And is it hard to do these breathing techniques?
No, I mean and that's actually the brilliance of Wim Hof. Because like I'll give you an example. Like you can tell somebody, hey, you should start praying or read some Quran.
Yeah.
But when they read the Quran, they're not going to get pleasure out of it in the beginning. They're going to be like, hey, or if they're praying, they're not going to get instantaneous pleasure out of praying unless you're lucky. But when you do the 10-minute Wim Hof technique, you'll feel good after.
Mm.
So there's dopamine response. There's like this positive feedback cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you go to YouTube and you say Wim Hof 10 minutes and you do it and you lie down and do it, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more relaxed. Your fingers will feel tingly.
Yeah.
And so that's how he hooks people.
Mm-hmm.
So 10-minute YouTube video or
Yeah.
15. Like if we only had that like with Salah, like if there was like a dhikr that you could do that in 10 minutes, you're like, wow, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
We need to create that.
I remember listening or reading about something about tennis players, and how in tennis, you may have seen this too. In tennis, they try to separate what is it that makes winners keep winning, and people hit a wall at the tough moments. And everyone says stuff that it's all in their head, right? And tennis players, they get in their head more than anyone else because he's the only one on the court. Whereas a team, you can maybe just transfer some of the stress to another player. It's a team sport. So tennis is different in that regard. And it's also a moment. Unlike boxing, you're in the moment, right? But in tennis, there's a pause. And people get iced in that pause. And that's where they separate winners from losers, is in the pause. So, and they came upon ultimately the symptom of the stress, of how they handle the stress, is how they breathe. So they detected all of a sudden in the stressful moment, the loser is somebody who just stopped breathing. He got tight, stopped breathing. When you do that, your body gets tired and your mind can't think. But the guys who made it through those were the guys who kept breathing normally. And they said, like, what did you do at that point? Well, I started to think of, hold on, we can turn this around. So he had a positive thought, but the positive thought impacted the breathing. So now they took these losers and they said, all right, forget trying to control thoughts. That's hard. Why don't we just tell them to control breathing? Right? So they went to the symptom, and they found a lot of players, all of a sudden, they're more successful in these pressure moments because they treated the symptom. So the root and the symptom may actually have an interaction. It's not just thoughts that produce tight breathing or good breathing. It could be the opposite too.
I mean, it's amazing. Like there's a sheikh here in Istanbul that's constantly, if like you listen to him, he's always saying, you know, Ya Latif, Ya Latif. And in that dhikr, he's exhaling a lot of oxygen, you know? And it makes me think a lot that, is there a way, and I don't even know if this is right or wrong, to integrate certain breathing patterns into Salah that, you know, makes you more present, makes you more aware?
Well, I think for that, you need to look at the Naqshbandis.
Okay.
They're into this. I don't know much of it, but I do know that they have the 7, what are they called? Lata'if. We don't have this in the Arab world, but Afghanistan, Herat, those areas behind the river, as we've always said, no one knows what's happening behind the river, right? The Oxus River, there's a saying in Islamic scholarship, Ma wara an-nahr. And it's the Oxus River that's way like past Afghanistan. It's like that. It's another world, and they had major, amazing scholarship in rational sciences and in tasawwuf and in fiqh, and that area is called ma wara an-nahr. But when you read their stuff, when you come upon their tasawwuf, there's stuff that the Arabs had never seen before. For hundreds of years, they'd never seen. So look up the Lata'if. May have something to do with that. I don't know if it's breathing as much as it is. They have the 6 Lata'if. Lata'if is sitta. Read it to me.
I mean, I don't trust this source, but
Yeah, it's not a trusted source, but they have the sir and the sir and the akhfa and the ruhiyya haqi, qalb, sir, akhfa.
symbolizes the different properties.
Yeah. And it has something to do with, there it is, there's al-qalb wal-ruh wal-sir wal-khafi wal-akhfa. 6 parts that you need to think about. What they think about while they're doing. I don't want to butcher this, but this is what they do. That's how it is. And I once said, brothers, are these chakras that got translated? They didn't know nothing to do with chakras. And I'm telling you, some of the most conservative, strict Quran and Sunnah only ulama, they also recognize the value of this by tajriba. It's by experience. They trial and error. So maybe we should get a mujaddidi on to talk about the Lata'if as-Sitta.
Yeah,
We'll get some of the mujaddid, the Naqshbandis to talk about Lata'if. This is not exactly breathing, but it's a meditation.
Well, it's basically like, like Wim Hof is a practice. Even running is a practice. Just improve my running and get into this, runner's high in the zone and breathing and all this kind of stuff. And I don't take that mentality to Salah. Like Salah to me is not a practice. Practice that I'm trying to improve, and it's just something like in New Jersey. I grew up, and we both grew up in New Jersey. It's something, and I went to Islamic school. I went to Ghazali. It's something you do so you don't go to hell. And a lot of that stuff continues into adulthood. And so I always remember, if I treat Salah the same way I treat like Wim Hof and study it in the same way I study breathing, can that open? I'm sure it can open infinitely more interesting and important doors than Wim Hof can. It's just not something I.
And also, I want to think about how dhikr without trying has to regulate breathing. That's why I think there has to be a physical as well as a spiritual and a mental and a physical element. The mental is the meaning of what you're saying. The spiritual is what Allah has put in the blessing of saying these words. Simple as that. He put a blessing. If you say this, I send you blessings. That's it. Thirdly, must be physical, because if I repeat La ilaha illallah without realizing, within 5 minutes, I'm going to be less than that. Within 30 seconds, my breathing is regulated. Once your breathing is regulated, all of a sudden the nervousness goes down.
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be a link. And it doesn't, and you don't need to do controlled breathing. You just say the right words. Right?
Yeah.
So someone here said, Talib Razi, can you get us Sheikh Ahmad Ad-Dabbagh? Could you get him for us? I mean, I've met him twice. He's come to Jersey twice, but I lost contact. Can you get him? Talib Razi is a brother. He came to Jersey and he's always on the stream. So can you get us Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh to come onto the live stream to talk about this? Okay, so we covered today. We talked about sleep. We talked about the fascia. We talked about food. We talked about physical fitness. We talked about mentorship and coaching as a key part of any success. If you want to be in business, get a mentor. If you want to have a good marriage, get a mentor. If you want to raise kids, get a mentor. Mentor doesn't mean you always have to have some schedule. Just that's the guy I go to all the time when I need help. One more thing. Water.
So important.
So critical. How many problems can good hydration solve?
A lot.
And what does good hydration look like?
I mean, for me, I think good hydration starts with not drinking too many diuretics like coffee, tea. And I love coffee and tea.
Yeah.
I love. And so you have to recognize these are diuretics. And a lot of times people will, try to drink like, a bunch of these, and they'll just urinate them out.
Yep.
And it's not just about the quantity of water, it's can you retain it. And so like one little hack you can put in is like there's a forgot the name of it, but there's like this electrolyte powder that you can put in the water that just has the right amount of salt, no sugar, and that helps you retain the water.
That's what it does. Helps retain the water. Okay. I was wondering, what is the point of these electrolytes? You feel better
Yeah,
when you
because it
have
helps.
them.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can drink a lot of water, but if you just flush it out of your system, you didn't gain anything.
Yeah.
And so, one little hack you can do, and I don't know if it's pseudoscience, is if you get like Celtic sea salt, like it's like the one that's kind of gray,
Hmm.
you just put some Celtic sea salt with your water, will help you retain it and not flush it out.
Are you saying that salt helps retain the water in your body?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
I never knew that.
Electrolytes is basically salt and some sugar.
Okay.
That's
Oh, I see.
all Gatorade is. It's like food coloring, some salt, and some sugar.
Okay. So I was wondered, why is it they tell people who fast a lot to, and I'm talking about water fast, not Shadee fasts,
Yeah.
to drink water with electrolytes so they can avoid dehydration. I'm like, why would they dehydrate when he's on a water fast? All he does is drink water.
Yeah, because it'll flush through your system.
I see.
You'll just drink it, and whereas the salt helps you retain the water.
What about regular salt and some lemon?
That's fine.
Does the trick too. If you don't have electrolytes, you just can't put regular salt. You feel weird. A little bit of lemon alters the taste a little bit.
Get the fancy stuff, just on Amazon, Celtic salt, some Himalayan, because it also has some minerals and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but wake up in the morning and drink a nice amount of water.
Yeah.
The mistake most people do is the first thing that they consume is an espresso,
Terrible.
which actually hydrates you more, and so drink a large thing with some electrolytes, and then half an hour later drink your coffee.
Yep. And here's the thing we talked about. Another thing that I want to close up with is that an amazing thing we talked about is scheduling things. So people who are successful, look at what you're successful at. Guaranteed, every day you have a to-do list for that thing. It's impossible not to. But when to look at you're bad at, guaranteed you don't measure and you don't have a schedule of a to-do list. If you have a to-do list of eating, you won't overeat. You won't eat junk. You won't succumb to junk food. A to-do list meaning it doesn't have to be what I'm going to eat, but this is when I'm eating, and I'm not eating before or after. Just like fasting, Ramadan, right? I want to tell you another thing too. This usage can be regulated. Why we are addicted is because we don't regulate it. There's no things that, all right, I'm going to be on social media from this hour to this hour.
Yeah.
And at 7 p.m., I'm going to put it actually in the trunk of my car, like as if I buried it, like a mafia buries a body, right? And it's not coming out.
Yeah.
Your life is going to be different. Like, how much Twitter is enough? How much WhatsApp is enough? Like, do my colleagues at work have to be able to call me at any time? Right? No. The answer is no. Right? When does this thing begin is the other thing. I'll tell you what's the worst thing to start your day off on the wrong track is to wake up and the first thing is you reach for your phone. That's why I don't even sleep with it in the room. I consider it like a rat, a mouse, right? I don't want to sleep with it in the room, a cockroach. Don't sleep within the room. I got my flip phone for emergencies. My flip is for emergencies. Anyone want to reach me after hours on the flip? This devil is a devil of taking away my attention. It ruins up my schedule. All right, wake up. All right, I'm going to work out 30 minutes, just light work. Then I'm going to then there's Fetch, pray Fetch. Then I'll have a nice cup of coffee and sit with the computer and start working.
Yeah.
That's the first 2 hours of your day or whatever, 6 to 8 or something like that. This thing will throw that off so quick, you won't even know what happened. It'll be 8 a.m., you did 0.
Yeah.
And you feel accomplished because you answered some WhatsApp and you made some tweets and you got up to date on who's doing what. This is such a waste. So this thing has to be buried into your trunk, right? And use your flip phone for emergencies. But it's all about saying this is where it starts and this is where it ends. And that's staying ahead of the curve rather than being dictated and succumbing to something.
100%. Like, I'm sure some people listening to this are like, oh man, this guy he just probably exercises all day. And there's all these thoughts like, Oh, it must be nice. He lives in Turkey. He seems to exercise all day and all this kind of stuff. And I understand where that comes from. I understand where those thoughts come from and that kind of stuff. But I can't tell you how many hours people waste. And like what like I run a company. I have a company that does other like I'm not a professional athlete or a professional coach or do 114 for a living. This is just my side stuff. Like I have my job, my work, my company, my other things. I have 4 kids, I have a wife. But people waste so much time scrolling hours and hours. And it's not like no, what I know is that no one's stronger than the algorithm. No
What say
one.
again?
No one is stronger than the algorithm.
Yeah.
Like you can't because what people don't understand, like why the phones are so addictive is that like if you read the book Hooked, like you know, they've learned how to hack the dopamine response systems. Like they know how to hack dopamine, how to make you feel good very quickly. That's why
You said nobody's stronger than who?
the
The
algorithm.
algorithm. I see.
No one
That's
the
true.
algorithm is the jet. The algorithm is almost like an nafs in that it knows you better than you know yourself. Like, it has the tactical advantage. It knows the algorithm knows you better than you know yourself in the same way as the nafs knows you better than you know yourself.
Well,
And
Shay, your qareen knows you better than you know yourself. Your qareen has been observing your habits, and that guy's been alive for how many thousand years? That jinn, and
100%.
you're like assignment number 5,000 for him,
Exactly.
right?
That's the algorithm. The algorithm is your Kareem. Like it's infinitely smarter than you, knows a lot more than it's probably listening to us, and so like what you said is exactly right. Like no one's strong. Like that's why you physically have to put it away. Like even when I'm doing a training class, like in my professional capacity, I have to tell the people to put the phones away from their eyesight because I am fighting something that's just
You can't win. Yeah,
can't win.
you
You
can't win.
cannot win.
And most people have this in their families. When their families, there's certain times that it's time to be together. The phone can't be in sight. Like you just cannot stop except for reaching for it. And if I'm not reaching for it, I'm thinking about not reaching for it.
I'm telling you, it's again. I don't know what we're doing to our kids between the
Yeah.
phone, energy drinks, the food that we're feeding them. It's just
Well, that's
crazy.
why they're all screwed up. They have so many issues. Their teeth are crooked. Their eyesight's crooked. Their hair is frayed. They don't sleep right. Their skin doesn't look good. We're producing a whole generation of screwed up kids.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
it's
our
not
fault in 100%, but there's a lot that we could do.
it's
Like I'm
not that.
really worried about microplastics, but what are you going to do about it, right? But this stuff we can do something about.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, there is stuff, but the problem is, even as parents, our attention is so fixated on these things, we're not paying attention to these kids.
Hmm.
Like even it takes a lot of attention of us as parents to go and monitor what they're doing. And then if I like like I gave my son his first smartphone when he was 17. You know how hard that is? That's like going to war.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
because his friends started getting him when he was 12. Now I'm dealing with my daughter who's 16, and it's just so much easier to say, fine, just
It's so, and let me tell you something else too, is that when it comes to these devices, besides all there are controls on Apple. Apple's trying to win over parents, and they have a lot of ways to control it. But the other thing is that it's got to be handed in at some point. Like I put mine away on a good day. When it's a good day, I put mine away,
Yeah.
and I control it. If I don't control it, it's a bad day, right? It's literally a bad day. The whole day is spun out of control. So I missed the workout, missed this. Now I'm just like, and then you can get yourself embroiled if you're undisciplined talking to people online. You get yourself you step on some mines and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Because think about what you said. You had a bad day,
Yeah.
and so you want to feel good. You want dopamine.
Yeah.
The easiest way to feel good, and because humans want to avoid feeling bad, like
Hmm.
we're optimized to that. That's why the makers of these phones and apps know. They know we don't want to feel bad. Even we don't want to feel uncomfortable with being bored in the bathroom. So they know
Hmm.
that. Take these things into. We can't even handle the discomfort of the boredom of going to the bathroom.
Crazy, man. It's crazy.
Crazy. We can't go to the bathroom without these things anymore. And so, imagine, and we didn't grow up that way. Like
Yep.
we grew up you and I without these things.
There was such a thing as boredom.
There was, and it was, yeah, such a thing as boredom. Like,
Yep.
and so, yeah, there is no such, like, it's the end of boredom.
Yeah, the end of boredom is a very weird feeling, because I distinctly remember Sunday evenings, there's nothing going, right? And you are just bored out of your mind all of Sunday afternoon, and you're, in a sense, a bit depressed by it, and that's a part of life. But then the next thing, what you did is that you reset, because now you can enjoy the next thing, and the next thing can be a big deal again, right? Why can it be a big deal? Because you went down a hill, now you can go up a hill. Now the next hill that appears has meaning to you, if you can feel something. Now we have a situation where no one is ever bored, so the hill just has to keep going up. There's nothing excites anyone anymore, because you're always up, you never go down. There was, if you understand happiness, in this world, when something great happens to you and you're at a height of happiness, don't try to like keep it going. You have to accept yourself to now have a phase of hard work and no results and boredom and nothing great is happening. That's what I call resetting. You have to reset. And if you just want to be happy, that's like sugar, you're going to get diabetes. And spiritual diabetes is you cannot no longer see right from wrong. All you want to do is gouge upon happiness. That's
which is the surefire way to misery. And and you know, and I know this is the whole conversation taking a left turn. I don't think anyone in Gaza is thinking about committing suicide. Whereas people who have everything are, and I remember, I'll never forget. When I was someone from Palestine came to visit us, and we're comfortable. Like we have trouble scrolling through the massacres on Instagram.
Subhanallah.
And then I remember one of the questions was to this Palestinian who came from Palestine, and I was a young kid, and he said, they said, how do you do it? Like, how do you do it? Like we live great, right?
Yep.
Even though we live the sad life, right?
Yeah.
He said, I look at you and I think to myself, I look at you in America and I think, Alhamdulillah, Afana. And so, like, all of this, like, no boredom, all this stuff, like, no issues, like, no, it's just a perfect path to misery.
It is a total path to misery, yeah. And you know who, one way to, in terms of disciplining these things, the discipline, it is best and easiest when you don't have to be disciplined. That's why, like when you said, I have a coach, he keeps me on track. My friends keep me on track. Put the phone in the trunk of the car or the glove compartment of the car. I don't have to be disciplined. Many people say, no, you got to learn to control yourself. That's a lot of energy to not do something, right? Why would I waste that energy, right? And why would I put a kid, many people have this philosophy, I want him to learn how to discipline himself, right? So all the pornography's there, right? I don't learn. So who does that, right? Like who, as my colleague at the message says, is any parent say, take a bunch of old Playboys from the 70s and 80s where the articles were really good and say, read the literature, don't look at the next page. Impossible. So the most disciplined people are the people who have to exert the least energy in being disciplined, right?
Right equation. Like my son, I remember him telling me in one of our arguments over the phone, he's like, Baba, you don't trust me? I was like, of course I don't. I don't trust me.
Exactly. Yeah.
You, like,
Yeah.
And of course like, why would I put you in a position?
Because you have a nafs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so like success is about building the structures of, where it's not a war every single day. Like if I was to tell you, like, let's just say I lived on the same street of you.
Yeah.
I say, Sheikh Shadee, I'll pick you up for Fajr. We'll pray. No, actually, you're the one who picked me up for Fajr. I wouldn't want to do that. And afterwards, we'll go for a run.
Mm-hmm.
I might be like, I don't want to go to Fajr in the masjid. You might not want to go for the run afterwards. But together, like, okay, I guess, he's going to pick me up and then we're going to go for a run. And then afterwards, we might have a Dunkin' Donuts together.
Yeah.
That's not the boycott list, I don't even know. And so, but it's creating those structures
it's
where
a bundle.
it's a bundle. That every day is not a, and that's what we try to do, like with 114 and like the whole building the community and the WhatsApp group and
Hmm.
the content and the community is that no one should feel alone. Like no one
Yeah.
should leave a Goggins. It's not. It's trying to
And
model.
that's why I bundled together the treadmill in front of the TV, because the only time I can ever watch anything, I never watch, like, who's going to sit and watch TV on the couch like in the daytime? Like, who's going to do that? It's a waste of time. But being on the treadmill, that's my little treat. So that's my motivation to be on the treadmill. And who's going to go on a treadmill and look at the wall, right? No one's going to do that. And so the bundling is what you're talking about here is really critical. We're with Ahmad Fahmy. We're wrapping up on fitness of body and soul. If you're on Instagram, hop over. Omar will pin the website, 114. And I want to ask you about any branches. Where are there branches that have a 114 rep that physically, have you ever thought about this? Starting to have branches that do what you're saying and come together, running and going to pray in the, even something as simple as a masjid, salah in the fajr in the masjid, and a 20-minute run, something that simple.
We call that hubs, and we have one in Istanbul, one in North Jersey, one in Maryland, one starting in Dallas, one starting in Qatar. But
with a leader.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What it takes is it needs to have a leader that's there every week. That's, and what we do in, for example, in Istanbul is we come together, and we memorize together, and we have a wonderful sheikh named Nail, beautiful brother, and he teaches the people together how to memorize. Because most people don't even know how to memorize. Like,
True.
so it'll be a half an hour. We'll get together, and so over the summer, as a collective, we memorize Surah Al-Mulk. Or some people rememorize, other people memorize for the first time. That's for half an hour, and then it'll be an hour running. We have tons who walk. We have people who run 10K, and people who just do 2 miles, and then afterwards we have tea and coffee on the Bosphorus. Same thing in North Jersey. What it takes, and if anyone from your community is interested, just reach out to me. Someone who's interested in consistently creating, like being there every Sunday or Saturday.
Yep.
For example, what makes your platform so unique and special is you're consistent.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, just the podcast is gonna be it's gonna be this week, this day every week. It's gonna happen, rain or shine. And I remember I arranged something with you, and you're like, wait, no, that's the day I record. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to have local hubs is someone who's willing to be consistent, rain or shine.
That's the key. That's the key. And they've got to have some kind of attain some kind of physical fitness goal, right? Like they have to be someone who physically we aspire to be like, physically.
Yeah.
That's probably the hard part.
It's the hard part. Like, and they need to be like there's a brother in North Jersey. His name is Ramzi. It's amazing. He's an amazing athlete. He's passionate about the Quran, and people aspire to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be there when you're there, by the way. He's just an amazing ambassador for all of us.
Very good. Now, you know what? When you're with a friend, it removes the choice. The concept of discipline is removing the need to be disciplined, but also removing choice. I'm going to get your question in a sec, but the one technique, there was a kid who's not cleaning his room.
Yeah.
And so the mom was distraught and said, I've talked to him about the importance of cleaning. I've asked him nicely, blah, blah, blah. Right? Then the dad comes in and he says, you clean in that room within 10 minutes or else I'm going to pinch you. So the mom's like, oh, that's harshness. No, it's not. It's actually what it is he's not going to pinch him. It's removing choice, right? It's not giving, he's too young to have that choice. Remove the choice, right? And once you keep removing the choice, it becomes a habit. So the idea of removing choice can be by bad or good. How many of us Muslims, say the truth, want to sleep until 6 a.m.? and not want to get up at 4:30 in the summer, 5 o'clock in the winter to get wet, and then maybe try to get in another 20 minutes of sleep before having to get up again. How many of us does that Fajr break up this artificial schedule that we've created for ourselves? But why don't you? Because I have no choice. There's iqab, there's punishment. Hellfire is not just that what it is, it removes the fight of the choice. And choice is a problem. Once it's removed, my life is simplified. Right?
I mean, think about our childhood. You know, at this time, there's the A-Team or Knight Rider. There was like nothing else, you know?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Now it's like Netflix. Man, there's nothing on. There's like literally 5,000 options. And like, and you're so absolutely right. Giving the kids the option, which is so natural to do. Hey, what are you in the mood to eat today?
Yeah.
Because every option, like there's Netflix for food now, which is like every option.
Yep.
And then I don't know what I'm in the mood for. And then they start fighting. One wants pizza, one wants burgers. Like, what do you want to watch? I don't want to watch that. And giving them, I remember asking my wife, why are we asking them?
Yeah.
Like, why are we just telling them this is what you're eating, Savannah?
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what's on the table.
It's on the table. Okay, don't need, go to sleep, you know? And it's,
you know, Omar and the guys, we are seasoned experts in eating out together. Like our crew eats out minimum 4 times a month, every Jummah. We go to a restaurant, we eat, right? But we are now the experts at eating out with a group of, I'm talking 10, 20 to 30 guys sometimes, right? The rule is, this is the rule. You go to the restaurant and you tell the restaurant owner or the manager, or one of us tells them, put food on the table.
wow.
That's it, right? Whatever you cook up, you cook up. If he says, I insist on taking an order, like, because there's no such thing, like, I got to take your order, then we send one guy to make the order, and he'll just divide it up. 10 burgers, 10 chicken burgers, and 10 wings, right? And that's it. And when the food comes, don't say, no, I want this, I want that. Whatever gets put in front of you, that's what you eat. At the end of it, everyone puts their card in the middle of a hat. A lot of times one guy will cover the whole payment or something, right? But that's the rule. So that is the method of eating out. Now, can you imagine if the waiter had to go around, what would you like? What would you like? And I got this order. No, this order's mine. No, this one's mine. It's a headache for everybody. For us, it's a headache. For him, it's a headache. And now when we pay, it's a headache. So you got to simplify everything, right? And same thing when it comes to kids and eat. It's not, you're not controlling. You're eliminating needless choice so that they could think about other things.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And this is what you're eating. And if you don't want it, you don't have to eat, right? You don't have to eat, right? That's your choice, right? To eat or not to eat. But what's put in front of you is that I went to a restaurant. We'll close with this, in the Dominican Republic. Turns out the restaurant is the guy's house, right? And he has his table, and he has a couch and some chairs around it. You sit there. His wife is literally sitting at a pot with a kerosene fire, cooking chapatis and talking to the guests, right? And then he has some other workers cooking in the back. It's an amazing restaurant. You go there, you sit. You will get served. You won't make any orders. What she's cooking, that's what's on the menu. You will get served, and you're going to put the money at the end of the thing. Tea, if she's making tea. If she's making coffee, you're getting coffee. Whatever bread she's making, roti, chapati, who knows what else, that's what you're getting. Chicken, fish, beef, dal, that's what you're getting, right? And life is so simple. So we talked about a lot of beneficial things today, honestly, and I thank you so much for it. And it's refreshing to talk to Ahmad, because physical fitness is so refreshing. And getting out there, getting in nature, getting in the sun, breathing well, sleeping right, eating right, throwing your cell phone in the glove compartment at the end of every day. It's so refreshing, and it makes life so much better. I'm telling you, it makes life so much better. On top of that, we have a Aqidah. We know why we exist. We know where we came from, where we're going, and how to live in life. We don't have to have a debate about abortion. I don't need to debate my kids about tattoos. I don't need to debate my son about having an earring. I don't need to debate my daughter about what to cover in her body. It's all set. I say, it's not me. And here's why Allah has had mercy on us. I can tell my kids, this is what you need to do. Say, why? Don't ask me. It's not my religion. I didn't make it up, right? Don't ask me. I'm just doing what my job. And say, okay, well, why don't you just give us a choice? Allah didn't give me the choice to give you the choice, right? If I'm a dayuth, I get burned. So I don't want to get burnt. This is about me. It's not about you, right? You know what a dayuth is? A dayuth is someone who lets the women of his family go out in tight or nakedness or whatever, and she's being looked at by the people. That's what a dayuth is. You're not going out like that because I don't want to get burnt. So Allah's taken the choice out of it, right? So many good topics. Any final closing words?
No, just I would love for as many of your community to register and join either the global race or the folks in New Jersey, come run half marathon with Sheikh Shadee.
Come on October 5th and 6th weekends. And that is also Dhikr night at MBIC. So come to Jersey for Dhikr night. Do dhikr with us. Saturday morning, we're going to go recite at ICPC in Patterson. Probably after that, we'll go. What are we going to do after reciting? Let's go for coffee at that time. Are you coming with your family?
Yeah. You know what we should do? Let's go to a restaurant and tell them, cook us anything.
Exactly. Yes. Put food on the table.
Right? Basha.
Okay. Family coming or no?
No, just my daughter, because she's doing the marathon.
Rest of your family's in Turkey.
My family's in Turkey.
Okay, fine. So we'll do this. We'll go out afterwards. Then we have the run the next day.
So we'll carb up. We'll tell them cook us any high carb delicious meal, and you get to eat with Sheikh Shadee. And the next day you get to.
It's a deal. And then we're running the next day, and it's going to be a very good weekend. So everyone to try to come to.
And you go to a wedding.
Yeah, I'm going to bring my whole family to the race, by the way.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I want to bring they walk whatever they want to walk. They'll have a good time, chit chat with people and stuff like that.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, it's 114.1 and 1 is spelled out. ONE 14.1.
Use the code SOHBA. You get 20% off.
Use the code SOHBA, get 20% off. And that's October 6th and 5th. We talked a lot today. Did we just talk for 2 hours straight?
Really?
That's crazy. Man, they say Egyptians are talkative. So when you get 2 of them. Right.
You know what? This is so nice to talk to you. Let's do this every 6 months so I can talk to you for 2 hours.
Sohba spelled with an O or a U?
You.
SUHBA. You get 20% off. Okay. You're going to have a great time when you go to this thing. Thank you so much for coming on. Jazakallah khairan. And we'll come on again as our fitness correspondent. Doesn't have to be for 2 hours, even for 15.
Whenever you want me, I'll join.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot. All right. Jazakallah khairan. Subhanakallah wa hamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wednesday dua, and then we close up. Remember, Wednesday is a day of dua is answered, so you got to make dua on Wednesday. And some people say, "Oh, I don't have anything to pray for." Are you so selfish? People are getting butchered in Gaza, so pray for them. Subhanallah, I don't understand. I don't understand the logic there. Right? Isn't that wait a second. Your blessings, do you think that they're here permanently, or is Allah sustaining them? At least pray for Him to sustain them. Your blessings, because you have them, do you think you're going to enjoy them? How many people finally got the money they try to make and now they don't enjoy it? Finally married the woman that they've been chasing their whole life, and now she makes him miserable. Or the husband, trying to get the husband that you want, right? 666, you know about that? 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 pack, right? You know about this? And now he turns out to be a bum, right? You got the guy of your... So just because you have a blessing does not mean you'll enjoy it. You know that? Yep. Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib said the worst person who's fooled himself and ruined himself is the one who has a blessing but can't enjoy it. Finally got the blessing of your life, then get sick, can't enjoy it. So at least pray that Allah Ta'ala sustains your blessings and lets you enjoy them and increases you in them. And it's not all about you. How about people in Gaza and Rohingyans and France and all these other things? Kashmir, who else? Sudan, civil war. Bangladesh, flooding. Who is that? Sheikh Ahmad Salim is here. Allahu Akbar. Allah. Sheikh Ahmad Salim, study with him in Atlanta, folks. Study with him in Atlanta. Common sense. Make dua for your parents who raised you. And you make dua for your teachers who educated you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا وكان عند الله وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم وأعيذ نفسي بالله تعالى من كل ما يسمع بأذنين ويبصر بعينين ويمشي برجلين ويبطش بيدين ويتكلم بشفتين حصنت نفسي بالله الخالق الأكبر من شر ما أخاف وأحذر من الجن والإنس وأحذر عز جلاله وجل ثناؤه وتقدست أسماؤه ولا إله غيره اللهم نجعلك في نهور أعدائي وأعوذ بك من شرورهم وتحيرهم ومكرهم ومكائدهم أطفئ نار من أراد بعداوة من الجن والإنس يا حافظ يا حفيظ يا كافي يا محيط سبحانك يا رب ما أعظم شأنك وعز سلطانك تحصنت بالله بسم الله بآية الله وبملائكة الله وأنبياء الله ورسل الله والصالحين من عباد الله أحصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم اللهم احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفني بكنفك الذي لا يرام وارحمني بقدرتك علي فلا أهلك وأنت ثقتي ورجائي يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين اكفني شر كل طارق يطرق بليل أو نهار إلا طارق يطرق بخير إنك على كل شيء قدير بسم الله أرقي نفسي من كل ما يؤذي ومن كل حاسد الله شفائي بسم الله أرقيت اللهم رب الناس اذهب الباس اشفي أذهب الباس اشفي أنت الشافي وعافي أنت المعافي لا شفاء إلا شفاءك شفاء لا يغادر سقم ولا ألمة يا كافي يا وافي يا حميد يا مجيد ارفع عني كل تعب شديد واكفني من الهدي والهديد والمرض الشديد والجيش العديد وجعلي النور من نورك وعز من عزك ونصر من نصرك وبهاء من بهائك وعطاء من عطائك وحراسة من حراستك وتأييدا من تأييدك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام والمواهب العظام أسألك أن تكفيني من شر كل ذي شر إنك أنت الله الخالق الأكبر صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وعلى كل حال يا أرحم الراحمين. So we'll close out with a few minutes of silent dua. وصلى الله وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Final reminder to everybody that starting next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because I'm going to be teaching now at, I'm going to be teaching as subbing really as an Aqidah teacher at the local Muslim high school. Yeah, I'm teaching Aqidah there. So for the next few months. So the stream will be at 1:30 because I get out at 12:20. It takes about 30 minutes to get here from there, from that moment. So we'll start at 1:30 starting next Tuesday. Tomorrow, who's on tomorrow's stream, Ya Umar?
Always me unless
No, the guest? No guest, so we can do an extended Q&A. We'll read a little bit of Ilm al-Hadith. We'll do some other neat things. And Jazakumullahu khairan. We'll see you then. Assalamu alaikum.